Welcome back to Macrodosing. Macrodosing brought to you by Game Time. Guess what's back? Hockey is back. Avery being on television at New York Rangers games is back. I love that shit, Avery. Big T going to some playoff games, perhaps. Oh, no, wait. The Mets are not in the playoffs anymore, so you probably won't be able to go to any postseason playoff games.
Braves are going to play the Yankees in the World Series.
Okay, there we go.
That was my prediction, too.
Big T and Billy will be going house divided.
Yeah.
Big Yankee Bill and Big T going head-to-head, and Game Time will get us in the door. You're obligated to do that now, Game Time. Game Time is the best ticketing app. We love it. It was created by fans for fans. It's a ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows, and they guarantee the lowest price. If you haven't given Game Time a shot yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. You're going to love this app. MLB playoffs are underway. Now is the time to give Game Time a shot. We got fans in Cleveland. I know that for a fact. All the Mad Dog simps stalking her hometown. We've got all sorts of Macrodosians out in Los Angeles. We've got Macrodosians in San Diego. I actually think that Seattle is a low-key big Macrodosian town.
Yeah.
Obviously, some
I'm always go to Seattle. I love Seattle.
Whoa, Arian, as a Houston guy, I can't believe you would say that about the town of Seattle with your Astros going up against them in the playoffs. I know you love your Astros.
Astros. I don't have a my anything in baseball.
If Arian wanted to go to a playoff game, though, he does love going to baseball games, and he gets in with Game Time. Game Time is the best ticketing app in the world. Clean user interface. It's so easy to use. If your parents are looking, how about this? If your parents are looking to get tickets to a game, tell them to use Game Time. It's so easy. Moms, dads, it requires no explanation. It's so intuitive. Just have them download the app, and they will be able to figure it out all on their own, I promise you. Super easy. The geniuses at Game Time have done it again, and they're giving you $20 off your first purchase. Some terms apply. All you have to do is download the Game Time app, go to the account tab, create your login, redeem code MACRO. Get $20 off your first purchase. Redeem code MACRO. Download Game Time. Last minute tickets. Lowest price. Guaranteed with Game Time. All right. Macrodosing's back. Better than ever. We got the whole squad right here. Avery is back. Big T, Billy, myself, Mad Dog, Arian. We're all back. Today we're going to be getting into Scientology. I think maybe one of my favorite interviews that we've done.
Yeah.
The guy used to be very high up in the Sea organization, which is what they call
Sea Org.
That's what they call Scientology on the inside.
And a little sneak peek in the book. There's a Sea Orgy.
There you go. And
so
he got out.
Buy the book.
And he got out.
Smart Billy comes out to play in this interview.
He's a seaman.
Yeah.
we have a verified seaman on this organization.
He was he was one of L. Ron Hubbard's seamen.
Yeah. L. Ron Hubbard would probably say, like, this guy's actually my sperm.
Yeah.
A former seaman, as you could say, we all are.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Yo, congratulations, everybody, on being super fast sperms.
I'm with that.
Let's go. Like,
fastest swimmers.
You two out there, you're also the fastest.
Yeah, pat yourself on the back.
Actually, wait, there's actually
unless you're part of like the twins or triplets and you didn't come out first, then
well, you still hit an egg.
Then it's a participation trophy. It's like, okay,
it's like second or third place is not bad out of billions.
You still hit an egg.
I was high stepping in my last 10 yards on the way to the egg. I was like, they're not going to catch me.
Actually, guys, the odds of you existing, which is this is a tiny number. It is 1 in 10 to the 2,685,000. 10 to that number.
Yo.
So it's fucking that is a tiny percentage of you existing.
Let's fucking go.
And everybody matters. Everyone exists, and you are rare no matter what in the scheme of the universe. At this time, in this moment, as a human on Earth, it's tiny. So all of you
respect.
Get hyped about those odds.
Really inspirational. Let's go.
Billy just ripped smelling salts, if you can't tell.
We're all built
have
different.
Stuff nose. It was medical.
No, that was good, Billy. I like that. Yeah, what a way to... I hope somebody's listening to this to start their day. And they're like, you know what? Billy's right. I am different. I'm special.
In the scheme of the universe, you are so goddamn unique.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Yeah. So go out there and make.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, come on, Arian. People were buzzing.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Actually, us existing is more impressive than a human making the NFL. So
it's a good point.
Just gotta humble you there.
Logic was horrible.
Billy is an NFL player he's in the sperm NFL.
There you go.
Billy's the
Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
Hall of Fame.
Billy's the Travis Kelce of his own dad's nutsack. How about that?
I'm the GOAT.
You are, yeah. The greatest sperm of all time from your dad.
Yeah.
We can all probably we all fit in that category. Maybe you have brothers, sisters. Maybe but you played in different eras.
Yeah.
Still.
So
different eras.
Yeah.
That's wild to think about though. Like we're all ejaculations, like different personalities. You know what I mean? Like
we're giving the sperm
just spouting out a whole bunch of different.
Yeah.
I mean, that's wild to think about.
Like if your dad was in a good mood, does that affect the sperm? Like if he was stressed, does that make the sperm lower quality? If your dad was drunk at the time, does that affect you?
Well, you know what's crazy? Your sperm takes I think it's 3 months to develop. So from when it starts to when it comes out of you, that's 3 months of development.
And then you have to subtract 9 months in the gestation period as well. So it's really 12 months. So really you were created as a sperm about an exact year before you were actually born.
Yeah. Well, also we got shout out eggs.
Unless you were artificially inseminated.
True.
Then
let's shout out eggs real quick because we've been getting sperm a lot of.
Shout out eggs.
Shout out eggs.
Yeah, because
big shout out to the eggs out
but
there.
the eggs don't have tails and move around, so it's harder to anthropomorphize.
They are the prize.
They are. Yeah, you guys are all trying to get to the egg.
So are you.
What do you mean, me?
You were a sperm too.
Yeah, but now I have more of an appreciation for eggs.
Right, but I'm saying don't act like you're not a sperm.
I'm not saying I'm
Well,
no.
You forgot
sperm.
your roots.
low key male sperm are faster because they have less genetic material.
All right.
Jesus
here we go.
Christ, Billy.
I didn't think that was going to take. Yeah, we lasted about 4 minutes into the sperm conversation.
No,
before
I'm just
Billy got very
saying.
sexist. With
It wasn't sexist. It's a fact. It's a
Wait,
fact.
you have no idea if that's a fact or
That
not.
is a fact because X is more than X.
I would like to get to the bottom of this. Let's see. Let's see.
That's our.
Says who?
I didn't even know that there were male sperm or female sperm. I had no idea.
The Y
what any of
chromosome,
this-
which makes boys, contains less DNA than the X chromosome for girls. That means sperm that bear a Y chromosome swim faster in viscous liquids, such as liquid existing at the tip of a women's cervix.
Sounds like you guys just don't have enough going on.
Well,
Yeah, that's also facts.
Yeah.
also, Billy, but if that were the case, then there would be way more men on Earth than women.
Ratio would be way
Well,
boof.
no, but
It'd be a
guess
sausage
what?
fest.
It depends
Yeah.
on how thick the first sperm isn't necessarily the sperm that breaks the.
He goes, guess
Ice.
what?
It just gets there faster.
It gets there first. It's sometimes like a wedge buster.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then the female sperm's like a scat back,
yeah.
like Darren Sproles
so,
type.
Male sperm are usually fullbacks.
Got it.
Yeah.
That was probably that might have been the most scientifically accurate ththing Billy's ever said.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm sure we'll have a geneticist or
Yeah, is there a gene guy on Billy's list?
a urologist.
I have my stepdad is a PhD geneticist.
There it is.
Okay, he would be more than happy to come on.
Can you just
We should definitely have him on.
No pun intended.
Can you just ask him? Can you just ask him if male sperms are faster? You
All right, let
Googled
me call my mama right quick.
it. Okay, so Billy just Googled it, and now he's acting like he pulled up a research
It's from
study.
science.org.
My mama right quick.
Like, if that's not science, that's got to be science. But I actually had a crazy thought. I have a new way to fix capitalism. Hear me out. No, just listen to me.
All right.
All
This is gonna
publicly,
be horrible.
we basically make it illegal to pay in wages. You have to pay in shares of the company, and the only way
That's
to
not-
buy
What the fuck?
those shares is to buy them from the employees who receive the shares from the company.
I think Billy just invented a co-op.
Yeah, but like you make, but then you can still have.
Hold on. I want to finish this conversation. Furman, do you have time for a small science question? When your motherfucking balls. No, I'm kidding. Well, we'll probably be moved on by then, but all right, it's all good. All right. They're at some office, like they're doing old people shit, so.
Okay.
Office is perfect place for it. What?
Perfect place for what?
Old people shit.
What are you talking about?
I just like they're probably at some office.
Yeah. That's what you just said.
I know, but like it's like the classic place for old people.
To go to an office?
Yeah, like they're probably in a waiting room.
I guess
Like
Billy's
I feel
right.
like most like old people are just chilling in waiting rooms like all the time. Like when I hung out with my grandma, we were just in waiting rooms all the time, and I was like trying to read random magazines that I didn't understand, and none were geared towards me.
Okay.
They didn't have like Sasquatch Weekly.
No zoo books. No zoo books. It was all just, the Inquirer.
What were the hottest magazines for kids? Were you guys like highlights for children people?
Sports Illustrated.
Sports
Kids.
Illustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, SI for kids. They had those
to
trading cards you could tear out.
Yeah.
East Bay.
Yeah.
East Bay
East
Mag.
Bay.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if this might be too America's thing, but The Source.
I'm familiar with the source. I did not read it.
I heard about it in Eminem.
It was a hip hop magazine. So like albums would come out and they would 100%. Albums would come out and they would rate them like five mics is like the hottest. You know what I'm saying? And then that's why Eminem mentioned The Source, because it was propaganda. Like he was beefing with Benzino. Benzino was like one of the owners of The Source, and so they never gave Eminem 5 mics.
Knowing The Source wrote it.
I would read East Bay too. East Bay was awesome just to look at and be like, man, I would buy those shoes.
What were the best catalogs?
Oh, we circled a whole bunch of shit I never. Matter of fact, when I got any money, that's exactly what I did. I bought 4 pairs of shoes that I never wore, but that I circled as a kid that I was gonna get one day. They were I couldn't find one of them though. The Jason Kidd ones with the little alien eye on the side.
Yeah, I love those.
I circled those, never could get those. The Jordan 12s, and then the Scottie Pippen, the one with the little pepper joints on the side. And then the Charles Barkley's with the air on the side. So I bought like 4 pairs of shoes from like the shoe vendor that I don't even like shoes. It was just like a fuck you childhood thing, you know?
It's funny you mentioned I did the same thing. Obviously I didn't get like NFL money, but when I got, I think it was my second contract here, I was like, you know what? I had shoes that I wanted when I was a kid that some of my friends had that I never was able to get. I got the Penny Twos. Penny Twos. Those were.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Yes, I got the pennies. Yeah.
Did you get the black ones or the white ones?
White ones.
Yeah, me too. I want to get the black ones still, but you can't find them. They're real tough to track down. But the Penny Twos.
That's why all those any shoe guys out there, holla at PFT. They out there somewhere.
Yeah, Arian, let's get matching Penny Twos.
I'm with that, and we'll wear them together at the same time. Whatever. Let's do it.
That sounds amazing. Just bros.
How about that?
Bros.
We'll do at a live show. We'll match outfits. Whole fit.
Yeah. Who wore it better?
Whole fit.
I like that.
Oh, last stunt, last flex. I was on the cover of East Bay magazine, and that shit was like a wow moment to me. I was like elated because like I grew up getting that magazine.
Yeah,
I remember
circling
that.
everything in that bitch. Yeah,
you were running on a field.
I was hired. I was like doing a running pose. Or whatever, yeah,
and you were. Was it Under Armour or it was like
Under Armour? I had signed with Under Armour. I think 2012.
Were you in? Red? I do remember that. I think you were in red tights.
They put mad. I don't know if it's red, but I was like in mad. Put like a mad filter on my face and shit. I was like, what the fuck?
That's amazing.
But it was cool, man. Just because, like, as a kid, as a little poor kid, you're constantly circling shit in magazines, and you end up on one of the covers. That's fucking amazing.
That's a huge flex. Yeah.
Yeah, big flex, but you know, it's a humble flex.
Okay, I looked it up. Arian Foster, East Bay. The top hit is it's on Reddit, so you know it's good. I just got this in the mail. He looks so uninterested. And it's a picture of Arian. It was May 2012, May 26th. There's Arian Foster carrying a football. You do look uninterested.
Let me see.
This person was right. You look uninterested.
It's not even uninterested. It's like your eyes are glossed over.
Can I be honest? Like, you just look like a normal person. I don't know why this person said you look like a regular person.
You're just looking off, like not into the camera, so it looks like.
Yeah, the beard looks good in the picture.
Honestly, I don't know if that's the.
I think there's a filter. They put the Drake filter on you.
I don't know if that's the.
Yeah, they
actual
definitely
cover.
put the Drake filter on.
Like I'd say from the nose down, you look, and the ears down, you look very Drake-ish.
Thanks, man.
Did you read the top comment?
No, I didn't. Let's read old Reddit NFL comments about Arian Foster.
He's composing haikus and stuff.
I like that. Did you ever write a haiku?
Yeah, of course. I grew up writing poetry. Like I wrote poetry before I did music.
So that person was right.
No, I wasn't currently at that moment writing haikus, so he's wrong.
This is the look described by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle when Sherlock Holmes has when exerting his full powers. That's very much a deep cut right there.
This is reach. They was reaching on that one.
This guy said, "Boy, I wish I signed a better long-term sponsorship deal my rookie year."
That was no.
Was Under Armour good?
They weren't as big as they are now. They were like starting to compete. They were big, but they were just like starting to compete. The Rock pushed them over. But when I first signed out, I didn't want to sign with anybody that was like known. And so I first did my first brand partnership was with this softball company called Boomba. That was actually the year I led the league in rushing. I was actually sponsored by Boomba, but I couldn't wear their cleats that they made for me because the NFL they only allow certain brands to wear. So I had to wear Nikes and spat. Because if you're a part of Nike, you can't spat. And so I wore Nikes and spat. And so Boomba was the first brand. Like that was my best lucrative deal. They gave me bread. But it's just because I was like I was a big name and they were just trying to break onto this thing.
If you had to go back and do it, like what company would you have wanted to get sponsored by right out the gate?
I would have did what we started to do. I think we did it right. I just think it was a different era. And so like now people view athletes as a business and a brand as well. But back then they were still just advertisements. And so when we first started doing brand partnerships, me and my business partner was kind of just, it didn't get taken seriously. And so like when brands would approach us, we were like, don't pay us, give us equity.
Yep.
And that was viewed as like, what the fuck? What are these kids on? And there was a few companies that did it. Like there's one that does it now that didn't. I think it's Beyond Meat. Beyond Meat first came to us and we were like, we don't want money, like give us equity. And they said no. And I think later on they ended up giving equity to some other brand partners. But I'm not really. I think I did okay, man. I wasn't really big on stuff.
That would have been huge for you though if you had gotten equity in Beyond Meat.
Yeah, it'd have been dope.
Didn't 50 Cent get like some outrageous percentage of vitamin water?
Yeah.
And then make like $1 billion?
Yeah, smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Smart guy.
Yeah. But they, like I said, like early athletes, they didn't really view us like that. They didn't really view us like business partners. They were just like, shut up and take this money.
Yeah, here's $15,000. Be here on time.
Exactly.
Billy, what you got going on right now? Anything you want to clean up from Monday's show?
Let me think.
Nuclear war?
I need nuclear.
Yep, there we go.
Nuclear.
I don't like it. I like it better when Billy said nuclear.
Yeah, but nuclear sounds weird.
Nuclear. Yeah, George W. Bush used to say nuclear.
Yeah, well, that's where I first heard it.
Nuclear. It's nuclear war.
Now watch his drive.
On the terrorists. Yeah. Watch this drive.
It's one of the great clips of all time.
It really is. Big T, you feeling good today?
I feel fine.
Fine? Fine's good.
Perfectly fine.
Right, you lost to the Phillies.
Yeah, that sucked.
Yankees up 1.
Yankees up 1. We got MLB playoffs going on. NHL starting
I had
again.
no idea. Well,
It feels way too early for hockey to start again.
Hockey has no off season.
It really doesn't.
You blink
I
and
like
they're
that
back
about
playing
baseball.
again. Well, baseball's off for 6 months at least. Hockey finishes in June. The preseason starts back in September.
It kind of sucks to win the Stanley Cup. You don't really get much of a summer at all.
But I get
I wouldn't know.
Oh, yeah, I would. It was that summer of 2018 was rough.
Yeah.
It was tough. I felt like I just spent the entire time partying, and by the time I opened my eyes, it's like, oh man, hockey season's back again. That sucked.
Hockey players are like teachers. Summer's off.
Yeah, they are like teachers.
Yeah. I get
In a
the
lot of
baseball thing too, because if World Series ends like and Halloween, and then pitchers and catchers report like February 1st, that's really not that long.
I feel like baseball players get kind of screwed over because they don't get summer. They really don't enjoy summer. Their All-Star break is like 2 days, and it's barely enough time to like go somewhere and then fly back.
And they play 162 times.
Yeah, which is why so many baseball players I think show up fucked up to games sometimes, or like still hungover.
You don't have time to do anything else.
Yeah, because they party occasionally.
This is what I wanted to talk about. Have you guys seen Babe Ruth's diet?
Yeah, let's discuss Babe Ruth's diet.
I mean,
So where was this from?
So this was other podcasts have talked about, Winston Churchill's diet, like his day-to-day stuff, or
I like Hunter S. Thompson's
Hunter S.
diet.
Thompson's. This podcast is a Babe Ruth diet stand. So this is pretty crazy. So this is the diet of Babe Ruth. Breakfast was a pint of whiskey mixed with ginger ale, then steak, 4 eggs, fried potatoes, and a pot of coffee. His afternoon snack was 4 hot dogs, each washed down with a bottle of Coca-Cola, back when Coca-Cola had the cocaine in it. He had an early supper and a late supper, each the same. 2 porterhouse steaks, 2 heads of lettuce drenched with blue cheese dressing, 2 platefuls of cottage fried potatoes, and then 2 apple pies. In between the 2 suppers, he had 4 more hot dogs and 4 more bottles of Coca-Cola, remember, with the cocaine.
All right, so the pint of whiskey, that's a lot of whiskey for breakfast. A pint is 16 ounces, or is it more?
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't think that's the only whiskey he was drinking throughout the day.
Well, no, but let's break that down. How many ounces in a pint? I think it's 16, right?
Well, is it
Can you look that up?
Is it a pint of whiskey with ginger ale?
It said a pint of whiskey mixed with ginger ale.
Yes.
16 ounces in a pint.
So
that's a pint of Guinness.
That's like it's like 12 shots or 11 shots or whatever. Because I think a shot is what, ounce and a half?
How many
So it's probably 10 shots. 10. That's bullshit. Right off the bat, I think that's bullshit. I think
the whole thing is bullshit.
I don't think anyone could start out their day with 10 shots.
I think
4 hot dogs.
I do
in
like
the middle of
so. It's 10.
breakfast.
It's 10 2/3.
Yeah, I like the idea of having a big breakfast. I think I neglect breakfast quite frequently, but I always feel better and have a better day if I have just a giant breakfast.
Y'all, I don't know if y'all looked at that video I sent you about that 104-year-old woman. She was getting interviewed and like, yo, like, what's your secret? And he's like, are you drinking a Dr. Pepper right now? She said, absolutely. She said, I drink three of them every single day. And he's like, isn't that bad for you? He's like, he said, 2 of my doctors told me it was bad for me, and they both died. Yeah, to that lady.
I think everything in moderation, especially moderation.
A 101-year-old World War II veteran credits longevity to daily Coors Light. People forget that.
I like that. I also like the people that are just like, I live to be 117 by drinking 3 glasses of wine and smoking half a pack of cigarettes every day, or smoking a cigar every day.
My great grandma had, she lived to be 93, and she had her fridge for her regular fridge, and then she had a small fridge that was just for Coke. So the mini fridge had only Cokes in it.
I love that.
It was goated.
I absolutely love that.
Now, did the cocaine in those days qualify like Babe Ruth to be on PEDs? Because there was cocaine in those Coca-Colas.
I think
cocaine is banned by the MLB bargaining.
I think it's the era that they played in.
So is that the Coke era?
Yeah, but it was legal back then.
Right.
So you can't use today's standards.
I also think it was out by then.
When did Coke? Well, I'm pretty sure there was cocaine in it still.
Coke started in 1886 or 5, but it was only in there for like
they still
while the original Coke formula had a significant amount of cocaine in it, was quickly limited and by 1903 eliminated from the recipe.
I'm not a drug user, but I would love to try the original Coke.
I would do it once.
Yeah, I would love to drink a Coca-Cola that had the original amount of cocaine in it. I think that'd be a great time. And then we should do it with Frank the Tank soda review. Original formula, Coca-Cola with cocaine in it.
How much cocaine was in one like bottle of Coke?
Good question, Mad Dog. Billy?
I'm not sure.
Our guy Frank is hurting right now.
Oh,
Yeah, he is.
that picture is goated.
Frank is thoughts and prayers to Frank.
He needs to rest up.
He will. How's your voice, Avery?
That's not good.
Yeah, you need to rest up too.
I do.
That was just from one hockey game?
Well, I was also in Baltimore this past weekend.
Yeah.
Baltimore will take your voice away.
Baltimore's a great city.
It really
With
is.
a bad rap.
I like Baltimore. I like it a lot. It's funny because it is, the first game of the season for the fans too. Your voice needs some time to get into shape.
Mm-hmm. And also, like, the people on Reddit will probably like this too. I won't be talking much on the podcast.
I was at a bar last night watching the Guardians game, and all of a sudden I was with some people from work, and all of a sudden Mackenzie Lozano just starts screaming Avery, and I was like, is Avery with us in this room right now? And you were just like next to the Guardians Yankees game on the TV. Mm-hmm. Just popped up. I usually don't watch hockey.
You'll probably just be on every ESPN Rangers game because I'm assuming they just have that camera set up in the same place.
Yeah, the guy's like in the corner.
He loves Avery. I think that guy stalks you.
He might.
Yeah. I mean, you're a good looking kid.
Yeah.
Probably sees that lettuce and he's like, I want to put that on TV.
Yeah.
You got a great head of hair, Avery. Cherish it while you can.
I'll take it.
Really, really lean into it. Savor every moment that you have.
Hair's a touchy subject.
With that flow. No, it's fine. I found out, Arian, I don't know if you saw the clip, but our own account posted this earlier today. Last week, I was walking into work, and my hair was kind of parted aside at the back at an unfortunate angle, and somebody took a screenshot of it because there was a camera on me and sent the video screenshot to me. And I realized that I'm starting to lose my hair in the back a little bit, which is tough as somebody with long hair. But I wanted to get out in front of it and at least just straight up like acknowledge it. This is happening so I can be prepared for it so that people don't think that they're catching me if they see another unfortunate screenshot. It's at the point where I can still have a couple years of coverage, I think. It's not like there's a giant bald spot back there now, but it's thinning out a little bit. And so I'm going through all the stages of grief in my own mind of how I can get through this. There's like bargaining, acceptance, denial, all that stuff. And I think what's going to happen is I think I'm going to get Hank very thankfully reminded me that I'm rich now and I can afford to get a procedure done. So I think I'm going to get the platelet-rich injections, which they just put more blood into your head, which will then grow your own hair back. So it's not like the hair plugs that they're going to be attaching there. I just want to get out in front of all this and say this is what's happening. And if you are going through it out there, if you're going through your own hair loss journey, just know that I'm with you. It happens to a lot of guys. I'm 37. I'm sorry. I had it when it mattered. Okay?
Yeah, no, I'm thinning too, man. It happens, bro. We live, we grow, we die, and shit falls out in the process.
Yeah.
That's what it is, man.
And Billy's looking at me like, see, this is just another way that PFT's body is completely shutting down on him. I can take his job.
I don't want to take your job. I was the one who told you the solution you're actually going to do. Is that not right?
The platelet rich?
Is that what you're doing?
I think
not the pills.
I might try the pills. I'm just worried about the pills.
Okay. My mom's father never lost his hair. So
good for him.
He was up to the end of it and he had cancer, and I think he low-key refused chemo because he didn't want to lose his hair. He was like, I went this long, I'm going to die with it.
Okay.
So, stubborn man.
PFT, what's your thoughts on Old Bay?
Oh, I love Old Bay.
I think it's like one of the greatest things of all time.
Yeah.
In terms of like dry rub.
Old Bay is fantastic.
I was just saying, because that was like my biggest takeaway from Baltimore is I had Old Bay dry rub wings and they were like
Did you put
godly.
Did you have an Old Bay margarita while you were there?
No.
Old Bay is fantastic if you put on the rim of a Bloody Mary and you mix a little bit into the Bloody Mary too.
Yeah.
Old Bay is like the best thing about Maryland, I think. And I'm not even saying that as a denigration to the state of Maryland. That's how much I love Old Bay.
Why isn't it a big thing up here?
It is.
People from Maryland have to bring it up here and tell. Like I think Avery's right. It's not that big of a deal up here.
It's not.
Well, we just don't cover we don't have the dishes that they use it, but I know plenty of people who put it on scallops and use it like on all the fish.
Yeah.
Speaking of people that really like Old Bays, Arian, seen any MILFs recently?
Oh, okay. Old Bay. No, man. Got a lady, but haven't seen any new MILFs that intrigue me. So I'm just out here enjoying my little young thing while I'm young, and we out here just being young. And
yeah, we're all young.
If anything happens to that relationship, that is the pool I will be dipping in for sure.
I like it. We're all out here just being young together. Like, look at us. We're all youthful, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, full heads of hair, loving it. Loving every second.
Well, see, okay, now I take issue with that sarcasm right there. Let me tell you why. Because all my peers, well, half of them, and it'd be the ones that be like, that don't really take care of themselves. They be like, oh man, we're so old. Listen, bro, old don't happen until probably like I say 55, 60. And even then, you still you can be kind of spry. But it's like a mindset. People get stuck in like the rat race, and then there's like, oh, I'm old or whatever. Like, dog. Go talk to like a 70-year-old or an 80-year-old and be like, and tell them I'm 30-something. They'll be like, oh, you're a baby. That's just how it's like. They look at us how we look at like 22-year-olds when they're like, I feel old. We're like, bro, shut up. Like, that's how it is. So it's like, I think there's an age where you get old, but like 30s is not it. 30s is like young, but with bread. Like, that's how I describe 30s. It's like, you young and you can do things that you wanted to do when you were younger.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I don't feel old at all. I don't think that I'm old. I try to take care of myself. Christmas abs are back on. I think when you hit like your 50s, 50s are the new 40s. When we were growing up, it was like 40s is old, right? That felt old.
Have you ever seen? There's this clip that went viral, but it's like high school in the 80s.
Yeah,
they're like fucking 30-year-olds. It's weird, and I think it's just part of how society grows. It's like I don't remember 30-year-olds being as goofy as this. Like, they were all serious when I was growing up. They were always so serious. Like, I play hide and go seek with my kids. I build forts with them. My parents didn't do none of that shit. Like, I think the society's just changing. Like, it's a younger mindset. Go ahead, Billy, you chomping at the bit.
Or it could be the microplastics destroying your endocrine systems. And,
oh my God! I wish I could remotely mute you. How do I do that?
I don't know.
We should give Arian that capability, like a shock collar.
I'll be a man like that.
I mean,
Avery, you're supposed to give me a soundboard, man. What happened?
They look adult. I mean, there's plenty of stuff that points to that.
We should make a Billy soundboard. I know that Cumtown did that one time with Stav. We should make a Billy soundboard where it's like low key. Like, I just read this study.
Anyways,
all
Arian cited a study. You'll be hearing it soon.
All the greatest Billy, his greatest hits. I want that on a soundboard.
But I also cited the publication, though. I said from PubMed.
I cited science.org earlier.
You did cite science.
No, but I mean, that's kind of a fact. I mean, the thing about the microplastics, that's actually been studied.
I don't know enough about it, man, but
look into it. I mean, there's a reason why, like, if you look at like high schoolers from even the 90s, they look different.
I've got some breaking news here. No, I don't. Never mind. It's not real.
What was the fake news?
Thank you for correcting before.
No, I want to hear the fake news.
No, you're not going to get the fake news.
I want to find the fake news.
Okay, so
fake news.
Somebody tagged you in a thing.
Am I in it?
I think you are. I think you are tagged in it. Oh, no, you're not. It's just me and Big T that are tagged in it and the podcast. So I won't be saying it what the fake news was. But I saw that and I was like,
what is it?
I was like, I can't wait to roast Big T about this. Wait a second. This sounds almost too perfect. I'm not going to do it.
Hang on. Now I got to go find what it is.
Arian, I saw you're looking for a golf instructor.
Oh, did you fall for Richard G. West?
I didn't because I didn't say it.
Oh, you dumbass.
Well, I'd never seen it before and I just read it.
That's a known fake troll account
to people in Tennessee.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not a person.
Oh, is that about the goalposts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm wearing this polo to support Tennessee. I'm actually really hyped for this game.
Me too. He actually he got these On Three's Alabama podcast. They read that and didn't realize it was fake.
Yeah, it was one of those things that I think I've gotten pretty good at recently, which is you see a piece of news that like hits your brain in a way where it fulfills all your confirmation biases.
Tickles your brain.
And it tickles your brain. You're really excited to bring it up. Anytime you see something like that, you should second guess what that news is because it's probably designed to do exactly what it's doing.
He has some that are very obviously fake, but he has some that are good enough that like they get out into the mainstream and go kind of viral. That one's like not that bad.
So, do you want Bama?
Yeah, I mean, are we going to
Bama
do this
wants
whole thing again?
Tennessee.
Yeah, dude. Like,
No, I'm going to buy you a cigar. I'll be bringing in your cigar tomorrow, and I want you to have that in case you do end up winning the game. Where are you going to watch the game?
we'll be in Hoboken streaming. You want to come?
Possibly. I'm going home. It's my mom's birthday today.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mrs. Commenter. So I'm going to go home and be a good boy, a good son, and I'm going to cook her dinner. We have a big party on Friday, so I'll be coming back on Saturday evening.
Trav and I will be in Hoboken. The Tennessee Bama game. He's an Alabama grad that works here. For those who may not know who he is, starts at 3:30. The Braves game. He's also a huge Braves fan. Starts at 2. So we're gonna be streaming, watching both at the same time, and like it's gonna be weird because we're rooting for the same team on one TV, and then a bit of rivalry on the other. So it should be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so actual breaking news. Davante Adams was charged this morning in the Municipal Court of Kansas City with misdemeanor assault.
Good.
Let's discuss. Arian, have you seen the clip?
I have not seen the clip. Send it to the group.
Okay,
What clip of what?
Send
I
to
don't
the
even know
group.
what's going on.
After Monday Night Football, the players were leaving the field. The Raiders were obviously upset. On the last play that the Raiders had offensively, Hunter Renfrow ran into Davante Adams and knocked him over before the pass could be thrown. So his own teammate kind of like knocked him down a little bit. And he was very frustrated because of the loss. And there's a team employee or an NFL employee that's walking by. It looks like they're doing some audio-visual work, and they stepped in front of Davante Adams, who then just shoved him to the ground, like very clearly pushed him, and then just kept walking away from him. And so I guess today, the cameraman or whoever he was has decided to press charges. So there's, I think, a warrant out for the arrest of Davante Adams in Kansas City.
Also, to add insult to injury, Golden Tate leaked their playbook, leaked a play from the install. I'm not sure how he has it, but it showed that Davante Adams was supposed to get mandatory outside release on that play. He got inside release on the press corner, and that's why he bumped into him.
Interesting.
So
the Hunter Renfrow slander. He's got defenders out there.
Yeah, but I don't know. Was Golden Tate on the? Was he on the roster?
Is it criminal court or civil court? I would almost guarantee it's civil.
I believe it's criminal
charges.
He's being charged with assault.
But I think the guy is
so
also...
the guy is pressing charges.
Probably gonna drop them if he gets a bag.
A fucking dweeb.
Yeah.
I ain't with that shit. That shit corny as hell, bro.
Did you watch the video?
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, yeah, he wrong. You can't push people like that. But like, you going like, are you hurt for real, doggy? Like, did it cause you bodily harm, or was you like, come on, bro, that's fucked up? It's like how many times you go to a club and you see pushing and shoving like that? It's just corny. You gonna take that man to court over this shit? You're a fucking Karen. That shit lame.
What if he?
I hate that shit.
But what if the sound guy just after getting shoved just hit him with the boom? Like hit him with
I don't know if he has any kind of medical issues, yeah, pay for his medical shit. But that push was so light. I'm 99% sure he didn't sustain any injuries. What he's going to claim he does, and he's going to claim emotional distress. And after criminal, he's going to take him to civil, and it's going to be a whole thing. And it's just it's Karen shit. I hate using courts as cudgels, using courts as like weapons to weaponize people, because it's fucking cowardly, dog. It's just like a cowardly I hate that shit. because people take advantage of the court systems. Like, court should be for like real things, and this is the problem with our court system in general. I'm taking Big T's teed off shit segment because it's like court should be used for shit that is actually that needs to be litigated. Like, this does not need to be litigated. You just a bit like you soft. Like, I'm sorry. Like, quote me. I don't fuck. That shit is soft, dog.
But then what happens if he just turned around and clocked him with the sound equipment he was using and like
I said, there's degrees in which to be wrong. He was absolutely wrong. You can't and you should not push people like that. It was dumb. That was a stupid thing to do. But do you think he deserves to be criminally charged for the push, bro? Get the fuck out of here. It's ridiculous.
But then
it's ridiculous.
But then let's say you just hit him on the head with the sound equipment. What would we be saying? Like, that guy should be.
Then we even no.
But then
Devontae Adams should not take him to court. Then we even. This is like it's like a scuffle. It's like not everything deserves jail. This is why our jails are overcrowded in the first place. For the freest country in the world, we have the most people in prisons. It's because anybody can sue anybody for anything. And it's all on who has the better lawyers, and it's all who can prove who's right or wrong. And it's all bullshit. Majority of the shit is bullshit. Drug offenses, dumb shit like this. It's dumb. It's stupid.
So
it's dumbest shit in the world.
I think the dude is probably pressing charges as a cudgel or as like a bit of leverage to try to get maybe some sort of money out of it. Because
I guarantee a civil case is going to follow.
Devontae Adams did apologize right afterwards, and I think he tweeted out too because he knew that he could be in some trouble and he might get suspended by the NFL as well. That would make more sense, honestly, the suspension by the NFL, because you can't have players pushing league employees or team employees on the sidelines. I think that would make more sense than actually pressing criminal charges. Like, does this guy actually want to see Devontae Adams put in jail? Or like go through trial. If he was smart, what he would do, he would wait until the wild card round of the playoffs. I don't know what the statute of limitations is, and then press the charges to make sure that he wouldn't be on the field. Maybe this guy bet against the Raiders, and then he pressed the charges.
I'd be more forgiving of Devontae Adams if it wasn't an employee. If it was a fan, I'd be like, yeah, fuck that guy running. Like, let's say it was someone running on the field. Well, actually, he'd be in his total right to shove that guy. But if it was like an opposing coach or someone who's actually trying to fuck with him, this guy was just doing his job, and he was just probably.
I'm not upset at the fact that, like, I'm not bigging up Devontae Adams for putting out. That was dumb. Like, you can't just be pushing people. I understand you upset and but it's like that does not warrant cops being called. You know what I'm saying? This does not warrant a court case, bro. But, like, it should be like go up to the dude and be like, yo, I apologize. Like, this is my fault. You good, bro? I understand you. Like, just be a human. Don't be a fucking dweeb. I hate this shit.
But the thing is, this dude, like, he's probably making, I don't know how much a year.
That's what I'm saying. You weaponizing it to try to get some bread, and that's even worse. So now I'm like, fuck him.
But if you were making so much and you had the opportunity to get like,
no, I would not. Absolutely
okay,
would not. Absolutely, I would not. No, bro. I've had so many opportunities to fuck people over in court, and I choose not to do so.
But if the money was right there, like, all you had to do, and someone else was going to deal with it, you didn't even have to go to court.
No, because I have been taken to court over dumb shit. That's just not true.
But if you didn't have that experience, you probably think differently.
No, I wouldn't. It's sucker shit. This is like, it's just sucker shit, dog. It's like the equivalent to snitching. It's like that. It's like we both doing dirt, and I got caught, so now I'm going. It's equivalent, because it's like you didn't earn nothing to get any money out of that man. You didn't do anything. You were just wrong place, wrong time. You didn't earn no money, bro. This shit is dumb.
All right, new dumb situation.
It's Karen shit.
Let's say Karen bumped you with her car.
No, I'm not taking you to court.
What do you mean bumped you with your car? Like, do you mean like ran you over?
No, but like not like aggressively, like knocked you over. You were on the ground. Like, let's say you're skateboarding and you were in the crosswalk and it was a stop sign. You just buzzed in and you bumped her and she hopped out and started yelling at you. And then, what
does it got to do with money?
But like, you could easily civil court sue her.
Explain to me what it has to do.
But the money's right there. You wouldn't take it.
What does it have to do with money? What does her bumping me have to do with money? Explain to me.
Because by the law, you're entitled to it.
That's what I'm saying. Sucker shit. This is all we just cut different. Like, go sue somebody, fam. That's not me. I can't. It ain't me.
there are very few people that I think I would actually sue. I would sue somebody if they did something that caused me like lifelong damage, maybe. If there was something that made my life measurably more difficult for me, where I was going to like lose out on business opportunities or career opportunities because they impacted me in some way, I would sue somebody for that. And then I would sue Dan Snyder if I ever got injured at FedEx Field. I would sue the fuck out of Dan Snyder. I'm telling you, I regret so very deeply not purchasing a ticket to go to the Eagles Washington football team game last year when that part of the stadium collapsed next to Jalen Hurts. Mm-hmm. If I had been in that section, I would have fallen on the ground. You would not see me outside of a wheelchair for 5 years. I would be wearing a neck brace the entire time. I would milk the shit out of that, and I would sue Dan Snyder and make him give me the team. That is my dream. And those people, those Eagles fans that were there, they're getting to live my dream. And I implore them to continue to sue Dan Snyder for that. I hope, please, like, I would rather have a Philadelphia Eagles fan be the owner of the Washington Commanders than Dan Snyder continue to own the team. That's my dream scenario, actually. Yeah, Billy?
Side note, I learned a new word. It's called pusillanimous. Pusillanimous.
Oh, yeah.
And
can I guess what that means?
What does it mean?
Does that mean like very giving or like benevolent?
No, it means cowardly.
Oh, well, I was wrong.
Yeah, it's basically the definition of a pussy.
Okay.
But you can now say pussy with an I, and you're just calling them that for short. So now I think we can use that word now because that's what we're referring to.
Yep.
And it's not sexist. So I'm now
abbreviated.
Yeah, I'm now going. So like I'm online. I'm gonna start shooting those off and start using an I and saying it, and no one can tell me because I'm just short for pusillanimous. So that's PUSILLANIMOUS.
Do an audio on the pronunciation of that.
Yeah, let me find it because it is so we can call that guy a pussy, but like pusillanimous.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Here's the. Oh wait.
Pusillanimous.
Pusillanimous.
You pusy.
Pusillanimous.
Yeah,
That's
so
fancy. Pusillanimous.
You pusy.
fucking pusillanimous.
You pusillanimous. Pussy.
Pusillanimous.
Yeah. So that's the new usage. So if anyone's like, oh, you use pussy too much. Well, I'm talking about pusillanimous.
Got it. All right. Anything else we want to get into? How's everybody doing? We want to talk Scientology.
I wanna ask if there's anybody out there in the Houston area that knows golf. Like good though, like it's a golf coach. Like holla at me, cause I've got the bug right now. I'm playing like 3 times a week. I'm shooting in the high 90s, low 100s, and I gotta get better. Cause I'm doing like self-correct. I'm watching a lot of golf videos and stuff. So I just need to get better. I know there's a lot of technical things I can work on, and I'm a dedicated pupil. Holla at your boy.
Okay, the word is out there. There was one other thing I wanted to get into though.
Yeah.
Billy is trying to get to the bottom of what's going on in the Russia-Ukraine war, the war of Putin's aggression, as I'm calling it. But Billy has tapped into some of his intelligence sources online. He waded into the foray between Elon Musk and national security writer Ian Bremmer.
Yes.
So Bremmer put out a report a couple days ago saying that Elon Musk had told him that he was in conversation with Vladimir Putin regarding the desires and the red lines that Russia had in this war. And he had talked to Putin before Elon Musk had put out Elon Musk had these conversations with Putin before Elon himself put out his roadmap to peace in Ukraine. So a lot of people were suggesting that Elon Musk was just putting Putin's desires and really his ransom list, you could say, out into public and saying that it was Elon's idea. Now, Elon replied to Ian Bremmer and said, do not trust Ian Bremmer.
Nobody should trust Bremmer.
Nobody should trust Bremmer. Now, Bremmer is, from what I've read about him And he does follow me, by the way. So
he does?
Do you want me to DM him?
Can we get him on the podcast?
I'll DM him. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Wait, who is this? Who follows you? Elon?
Ian Bremmer has a Substack. I'm pretty sure it's a Substack that he sends out, and he's a very well informed, geopolitical, like he knows everything about the world in geopolitics and international relations
about the world.
He's a political scientist. He's I think he's a Columbia professor, and basically he has a very fair and balanced. I think that's fair to say, unless from what I've heard, fair and balanced Substack.
He's well regarded.
I don't know if he leans one way or the other. I think he doesn't.
What is a Substack?
It's like a Patreon, but it's only a newsletter.
It's for journalists. They can write stuff, and you can subscribe to them independently. And only fans of journalism, if you will.
I like that. Yeah.
I do like that more.
Another great example of capitalism.
Yeah, it's a good business model, I think, as more and more publications have really bitten the dust because they don't know how to scale, and they're struggling to figure out how to balance ad revenue in like the online world where everything is given away for free with paying people for quality journalism. So a lot of journalists are just going their own route, going independent, and say you can get directly from me, pay me to directly to provide this reporting to you directly. So it's kind of cool. But Ian has been kind of roasting Elon, implying heavily that he's a puppet, that Elon is a puppet for Vladimir Putin. Putin doesn't like that, so or Elon doesn't like that. So then Billy, you asked a question.
Yeah, so basically I asked, could you please, give some more information? Because I'm also trying to get Elon to respond to me. You remember you gave a bounty, $1,000 if he responds, and plus being an Elon Musk reply guy.
I did, yeah. Billy can get a reply back from Elon Musk. Like $1,000.
Like a lot of people who, were Trump reply guys, they gained a lot of following. So I may be doing some social growth work.
Okay, you should set up notifications.
I do. I have
put up noties for him.
So I said, so nobody should trust Bremer. I responded, trust him with stuff said in confidence. So what he says is true, but don't trust him to keep a secret, or trust him to not tell everyone what I heard from Putin, or trust what he's saying is true.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's various ways you can interpret that. So if I tell PFT a secret, like Big T told me that his desires are for Tennessee to win, and then PFT says, Big T told Billy that Tennessee's going to win, and then, or is it don't trust him because he's just lying about something I said, which I didn't say. So
right.
There's a lot of ways to interpret it. And I kind of think it's the former, where he doesn't trust Big T. He doesn't trust Big T, PFT to keep a secret. Because I kind of think that Elon Musk is getting threatened by all of the KGB, Russian mob, everybody right now. Because think about it. Those guys, if you ever seen Icarus, Russian hitmen are out there, former KGB, former Russian special forces. And if there's a hit on you, it's like a whole list. It's like a Craigslist, and there's tons of hitmen across the world. And they're like, for me to go snipe, let's say Elon Musk's on his yacht and he goes, shows his big white bag of milk figure out in the sun. That's an easy target. That's an easy, $5 million that's way better than my Red Army, pension.
Yeah.
So
he's got a lot of people that are looking to do his bidding.
Yeah, so if Musk is talking, because think about it, he's doing Starlink for the Ukrainians. He's trying to give as much support for the Ukrainians as he can. But I think Putin might be like, hey, dude, I keep richer dudes than you in check in Russia. I can keep you in check too.
Mm-hmm.
You tweet anything about this or mention anything about this, I'll kill you, type thing. That's just a theory. Don't take anything I say as truth, because I'm just a dude who's on the internet too much.
That's great. That should be your bio. Just a dude that's on the internet too much.
That's a good bio.
I do like that. Yeah. What about Starlink? Nordstrom. Anything new about Nordstrom?
They think they blew up something in Poland.
Who did?
The Russians.
There were a lot of pronouns there. They think they blew up something in Poland. who is the first they?
They is this Twitter account I follow.
Okay.
That is apparently trusted.
Apparently trusted. That was great use of
That's the Billy stamp of approval. Apparently trusted.
The passive voice was doing a lot of work on that. So not even trusted by you, but it's allegedly trusted by someone else.
By a Reddit.
Okay.
A Reddit subsections thinks it's okay.
You pull back the layers on any sentence that Billy utters, and you really start to get into some shit.
Let me find this.
You just scratch on the surface a little bit.
Latest. Yeah, they think it's a false flag. Again, let me find this part. Yeah. Yeah, I can't find the exact tweet. That was the last thing I saw. Something about Poland in a pipeline there.
Okay. All right. So something about a Poland in a pipeline is going on right now. Who knows?
People think it's just from TikToks I'm getting any of this information, but honestly, it's more from Reddit, Twitter, and a bunch of
much more trustworthy sources.
Yeah.
You should name your daughter Information. And,
I actually
and that way
still have
people will call her misinformation.
Yeah, well, I still have a subscription to National Affairs from college, so I read that sometimes.
Okay.
So
that's pretty cool.
Anyway,
so that's our Ukraine update with Billy. We had anything else, or do you want? Let's talk some Scientology because we've got a great interview coming up. I'm fascinated with cults. I think some other people in this room are also. They have a morbid curiosity with them. I'm obsessed really with finding out how people get their minds controlled, and the different emotional levers that get pulled and pressed, and how effective they can be. And really the entire strategy. And I've talked about it a little bit on this show about how I tried to get recruited by what some European countries would call a cult when I went to the Landmark Forum. And it's interesting because we're going to talk with this guy in a little bit. His name is Mike Rinder. And he started using the word technology. I guess all the people in Scientology, they refer to their system of beliefs as their technology, which imparts a sense of importance on it. Or like a sense of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Factualness, a sense of
authenticity,
a sense of importance. If they call it like this is our technology, the Landmark Forum used to call their stuff their technology too. So I thought that was interesting that he brought that up. But I like to imagine that I really don't think I could be brainwashed. I think that I'm unbrainwashable, and I would invite anybody out there.
Big T.
Try to brainwash me.
Are you saying I should try to brainwash him, or
no? Like,
do you think I'm brainwashed, Big T?
Are you brainwashed currently?
Yeah.
No, I think you have some bad ideas, but you're not brainwashed.
I think you're a little bit of a sucker for some things.
What am I a sucker for?
I mean,
hey, therapy talk. Let's go. Macrodosing therapy talk. Let's get it.
No, but I think there's some talking points that you're a sucker for that like totally juxtapose some of your other beliefs.
What talking points am I a sucker for?
Let's go.
I
Billy.
actually know of one.
Let's do this shit.
Hunter Biden.
No.
Big pharma, but you're not a fan of like big corporations and stuff.
I'm not a fan of big pharma.
Well,
big
like for example,
guy.
Yeah, you're a big vax guy.
I'm not. I'm without a doubt not a fan of big pharma. I've been a hater of big pharma since you were just a glint in your father's eye.
Did you buy Pfizer stock a year or two ago?
I have zero Pfizer.
You
stock.
seem like you might. You've been riding for them.
I have no stock in any pharmaceutical companies in the entire world, unless you consider Dogecoin to be a pharmaceutical, because it's basically just a drug that you. Never mind. So let's talk some Scientology real quick, and then we're going to get to our interview with Mike Rinder. I think you guys will like that. Fascinating stuff. So Scientology, I love all the stories that come out about Scientology. It's like an instant click for me if there's a documentary or if there's an article in the news about Scientology and somebody like getting out and the different lawsuits that they file. And it's just fascinating to me because it's run by a guy that I think it was started by a guy, L. Ron Hubbard, that had a God complex. And now the guy that's running it, David Miscavige, he definitely thinks that he's God too.
The whole story of Scientology almost reads exactly like Animal Farm, with L. Ron Hubbard becoming, I forget the exact pig's name, I should have had it ready, but then with this new guy who's now taking it over in the same culture of compliance that occurs around it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fascinating. And
so who was L. Ron Hubbard, Billy?
L. Ron Hubbard was a former naval veteran who was a pretty decent science fiction writer. And unfortunately, science fiction writing didn't pay the bills. But in his words, writing science fiction for about a penny is no way to make a living. If you really want to make $1 million, the quickest way is to start your own religion.
Mm-hmm.
L. Ron Hubbard. And so he did.
So he kind of turned his science fiction writing into the building blocks of that religion. Like people liked some of his books, and he was like, okay, if these suckers like that, I'm just gonna tell them that it's true.
There were he's from the West. He grew up in Helena, Montana, and studied at the George Washington University in Washington, D.C. There's said that his experience with Mormonism early on, in the beliefs of Mormonism, may have actually helped inspire him to be like, I can be John Smith.
Yeah.
That sounds, there's actually a lot of links between Mormonism and Scientology from my point of view, in that Mormons believe in a space-involved dogma, whereas Scientology also involves aliens, planets, just the same as some parts of Mormonism. And that sort of may have been his first inspiration to start his own religion.
A good rule of thumb is, if anybody approaches you and says, hey, you know that one thing that you've been really, really struggling with in your life? I'm the person that can save you. I have all the answers to that. Just trust what I say, and we're going to figure that out. So that's kind of what Scientology is all about. What they do is they prey on people, because we're all people. We're all flawed. We all have our insecurities deep down inside. And if they get somebody to discuss these insecurities and they make you feel more insecure about them, and they say, well, I can help you overcome that. Look at me. Look at us. We exist on a plane of understanding, and a plane of living our lives without these bad thoughts or bad issues that you might have. All you have to do is become like me and do all the things that I did to get there, and you'll be happy. That should be a major red flag. If a religion is like promising you complete and total happiness and an escape from everything that's plaguing you, that's somebody that should not be trusted to actually run any sort of spiritual reckoning.
And much of the theories that Hubbard came up with came after his problems returning from World War II. He was a writer before World War II and served in the Navy, in which really left him scarred. He saw a little action, not sure how much, because where the legend ends and the truth begins is something that sort of wasn't too clear with Hubbard's military service, but it eventually caused him to publish Dianetics in 1950, which was his first way of trying to sell a certain type of psychology, almost self-help, that he used on himself to improve his own mental state after coming back from war. And Dianetics is pretty weird. He basically was sort of publishing a pseudoscience that was pretty perpendicular to a lot of what was currently being studied. And he was trying to basically have all these sell books. His other books weren't selling, so he was going to try to create something that he tested and used his methods to study to really find out.
Okay.
So,
have you guys ever encountered a Scientologist?
No, I took a class on them in college, but
They teach a class on Scientology?
did you bring your notes?
no. Wait. I bet I still have my notes in my Google Drive. I'll look real quick.
Yeah, you should check that out.
It was a Doomsday Cults class, but we had like a whole unit on Scientology. It was a sick class. I've talked about that before.
What is the current membership number?
I saw 25,000 somewhere.
That's weak.
It wasn't a lot.
They're going extinct.
That is weak.
Talking shit about the gang size.
I do think, they're losing a lot of corners. I'll put it that way. I think that they need a rejuvenation. Scientologists need to find somebody to connect with the youths of America. Dude, some TikTokers, I bet you, could get brought into Scientology real easily.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really easily.
I wonder if there's any Scientologist TikTokers currently.
There's a bunch of head cases that are getting famous for being on TikTok that have no real discernible talent that are going to be looking for some
In like
deep,
2 years.
deep answers for a lot of their own insecurities in like a year or two. I bet you if Scientologists were smart, if they want to bring me aboard to run their marketing department, yeah, you start investing in like 19-year-old TikTokers right now.
Scientology needs to get into the influencer marketing.
So Scientology targeted, we get to it a lot in the interview, but there's the reason why there's so many celebrity Scientologists because there's tons of a lot of misguided youth who end up in LA who are looking for their next big break and looking for their next way to break through. And the newest types of those people heading to LA are TikTokers. I saw it in the Saddle. If you set up shop right in front of the Saddle Ranch, whatever, where they all hang out, and you'll definitely get some people to sign up for Scientology. But it's a very fascinating religion, and honestly, there's no way to really summarize the whole story, like the whole mythos of Scientology. Like it's even easier to sort of describe Mormonism about John Smith, the last Israelites, the lost tribe of Israel that was found in northern New York, whereas Scientology, basically in order to know the religion and why many Scientologists tell you to read a book when you ask what Scientology is about, is because in order for them to get indoctrinated, it takes tons and tons of reading. And it's crazy, but like we could highlight some pretty out there beliefs that will give you a gist of what we're talking about.
Okay.
There's a galactic confederacy that runs the universe. Everything you know about the universe is untrue because while you're reading up about the Milky Way and gravity, proven scientific concepts, L. Ron Hubbard is dropping knowledge about the galactic confederacy and their control of Earth. Scientologists believe that, like the UN and such fictional organizations, the Federation of Planets, Empire, First Order, or Spacing Guild, the galactic confederacy is a collection of planets that work together to govern the universe. So that's a key tenet of their belief system.
I mean, that does sound like episode 4 of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Or is
3.
I can't figure it out. Episode 1, right?
Episode 3 is when there's the Galactic Confederation and Darth Sidious comes into play.
There's one where it's like, okay, we're going to get together and this entire movie is going to be about taxes and shipping lanes.
Yeah.
That sounds like whatever this is.
Fun fact, in that scene of the whole Confederation, there's actually ETs in there.
Oh, that is crazy.
Yeah. Another crazy fact is heaven is based on Pasadena. L. Ron Hubbard admits that he was never a fan of the idea of heaven because it sounded kind of corny. Then he had a revelation. After some soul searching, he is believed to have remembered that not only had he been to heaven, but everyone has been to heaven, and our implants simply wipe it from our memory. More on our implants. If you want to get a good idea of what heaven looks like, you just have to hop on California's State Route 2. It's believed Scientologists think that heaven has the appearance of Pasadena.
Let me tell you, I've watched a couple UCLA games this season with like 1,400 people there. If that's heaven, we're in trouble.
Yeah. Well, it might be because it's such a nice place that they want to do anything except for go to football games.
That is true. They're competing for a lot of other activities with people's time.
Yeah.
Granddaddy of them all.
I think that... Have you ever played there?
Mm-hmm.
What was it like?
It was cool. It was cool. I actually liked Cal Stadium better. I would play the Cal my junior year. I think I like that one a little better.
I think being in the stands in Pasadena might be better than being on the field.
Maybe. Yeah. The allure... Cal was loud as shit. Cal was way louder than I thought it was going to be. But the allure of it being the Rose Bowl was really dope. Because you grow up, thinking that was like... Out to me, that was the one bowl game that I always wanted to play in. It was the Rose Bowl.
If heaven was a city, what city do you think you would choose? Or what city on earth do you think is the one that you could base your model of heaven off of? I'm going to say Barcelona.
I've never been, but I've heard Santa Barbara is awesome.
Okay.
Arian, have you been?
Santa Barbara, yeah.
Would you say it's heavenly? I've heard awesome
I can see that.
things about it.
San Diego.
I heard
San Diego's
isn't
good.
UCSB like the most crime-ridden college in the country?
I think I don't know the answer to
don't
that,
know.
but it sounds like a cool place to go to school. Aren't they the banana slugs?
No, that's UC Santa
That's-
Cruz.
They're the Gauchos.
The Gauchos.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I would choose New Orleans. I think New Orleans would be my heaven
Gross.
because, well, in my idea of heaven, there's certain elements of hell that you're allowed and encouraged to do, and so that's New Orleans.
So why not just Vegas then?
Because
Vegas is way cooler than New Orleans.
No. Vegas is
It's too artificial.
it's synthetic. New Orleans, I think, and there are some
It's like
synthetic
actually
parts.
dirty and disgusting.
It's not dirty and disgusting. New Orleans is a beautiful place filled with amazing culture, great food, friendly people, good vibes. Las Vegas.
What's your beef with New Orleans, bro? It sounds personal.
I've never been. I've just seen that it sucks. Also, the Saints are there.
Yeah, that's what it is. He's a Falcons fan.
Whom I detest. But it seems yucky.
It's fun. It's underwhelming. I said Bourbon Street was a little underwhelming.
So another one of their beliefs was in Zeno, an ancient ruler. Zeno, an alien galactic ruler who was king of the planets. Zeno knew that the galaxy was faced with overpopulation, so he did the one thing that made sense. He got together all the available space psychiatrists and had them inject some of the universe's inhabitants with a substance that immobilized them. After that, he had their bodies loaded into space planes that looked exactly like DC-8s and flew them to Earth. He then proceeded to drop the paralyzed bodies of his constituents around a series of active volcanoes, which he then blew up with a hydrogen bomb.
I love that.
Even though...
Wait, when was this?
75 million years ago.
We had an H-bomb?
We didn't. Xenu did. And he bombed volcanoes that are named that also, by our geological records, did not exist 75 million years ago. But if you ask a Scientologist about that, which they probably don't even question it with each other because of the restrictive sort of mind control they do, which is pretty uniform with tons of cults. That's just told to you by wogs, which are people who aren't in Scientology, to disprove Scientology, because there's a global conspiracy against Scientology by psychologists who are trying to fight against the rival true world-saving, soul-saving,
this is
purpose that is Scientology.
The religion version of they hate us because they ain't us.
Yes. But when these...
Wait, hang on.
It also sounds like a knockoff Thanos too.
It does. I've got some breaking news real quick.
Is this real?
This is real news. Breaking absolutely astronomical figures in the InfoWars lawsuit out of Connecticut. Alex Jones owes $229 million to just the first 3 plaintiffs, all family members of Sandy Hook victims. There are 9 more plaintiffs to go. Alex Jones, this is from _Ben Collins. Alex Jones makes an enormous amount of money, but not this much. More and more $30+ million judgments being read right now. This might be the death knell for InfoWars. Breaking, a Connecticut court rules Alex Jones owes Sandy Hook victims over $1 billion.
Oh my God.
Fuck you pussy piece of shit.
Pusillanimous?
Pusillanimous, that's what I meant.
You pussy?
Pusillanimous piece of shit.
Good for those families.
Alex Jones.
They won't get $1.
Probably not. He's going to go, they're going to take everything that he has.
Right.
Alex Jones will die poor.
He's going to be like homeless.
That's dangerous.
That's worse.
All right, so we should consider this real quick because I think that he deserves all the bad things to happen to him and none of the good. But Alex Jones, with absolutely nothing to lose, is that's a cornered, wild, rabid animal.
He's Michael Scott Paper Company. I have no shortage of names.
Yeah, the Alex Jones News Company.
What if
I invented a new supplement? It makes you 2 shades redder.
Alex Jones should go to, after he gets killed, and Joe Rogan should just keep him in a cage in his studio like a dog, chained up. just for sound bites.
It would make good content.
It would be hilarious content, but I think that's
But
the only.
he doesn't get paid for it.
Yeah,
That was wild.
but that's how he's got to survive.
Okay. Back to. Sorry, Billy. I hate to interrupt, but that's big news.
That is big news. He deserves every bit of it.
Mm-hmm. No more
But like,
chili.
when you get taken down that bad and you literally have nothing, and
Yeah.
every money you make gets taken away, like how do you survive?
I mean, he's gonna be able to get a job, but
Then all that money has to.
I'm not exactly sure how.
I think like every dollar
It's
you
a
make.
percentage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that what's happening with That's what happened with OJ in his book with the civil suit.
Yeah, but that was also because it was related to the crime. I think they limit any profits that you can make about that. But anyway, sorry. So Scientology.
Yeah. So so basically these paralyzed bodies got blown up by an atom bomb. When they got blown up, they just attached to all the humans, and
I love how like you're an intergalactic species that has all these powers, and like all you got is like an atom bomb. Like you don't got nothing better. Like that shit's trash.
well, actually, I think it's a hydrogen bomb.
Oh.
Yeah. So come on,
Oh.
give Xenu some
my
respect.
bad. My bad,
bro.
Zeno. My bad,
Give-
Zeno. I
give
thought
him
you just
some
had a regular
flowers.
old Einstein came up with that shit.
Yeah, so it's very weird, and these sort of alien ghosts that go through everybody. So, like, all of our human souls were programmed with false information. So, have you wondered why so many different cultures were able to create the same God, devil, savior mythology? This is because the comparative mythology was caused by these Xenu bodies, that their souls, after they were blown up, floated into the sky, were captured by sticky electronic beams, and then taken to special theaters. There, the souls were showed 3D images that programmed misleading information into their being, like the concept of God, the devil, and Christ. After the programming, their souls flowed back to Earth and took up residence inside our bodies and gave people the seemingly false ideas of other faiths. So those alien ghosts, after being blown up by hydrogen bombs in volcanoes that didn't exist at the time period they said they did, were then taken up back to space, where they were sat in a theater and just programmed in a theater with like a projector, that these themes that are common in all religions, most Abrahamic religions, then took those back to Earth and programmed all the humans with them. Very, very convincing that there's space theaters.
Do you think? Yeah, that is very funny.
Space movie theaters.
Do you
they
think
probably play Avatar?
You think that the guy that, or the group of people that wrote the Bible, do you think they had any training in doing science fiction as well?
Huh.
They're not as inventive. That's what I say. If this dude wasn't like a dweeb, he'd have wrote some dope ass shit like for movies.
Well,
he probably did write a whole bunch of cool
honestly,
shit.
we should have watched Battlefield Earth with John Travolta,
Yeah.
because I think some of his science fiction did sell. Like, I used to read a little science fiction, but some of it was just like the classics, like iRobot and whatnot. But I actually never.
That was Ivan Asimov.
Yeah. Michael
think so.
Crichton is my favorite science fiction writer. Congo, check it out. It's a really good.
Congo's a good, yeah, also a good movie.
Congo, I think, is better than
I
Jurassic
loved
Park.
Congo. That I wouldn't mind a remake of Congo.
Oh, they should
That would
definitely.
be lit.
Mm-hmm. That was a great movie. Maybe not great, but it
the
was a good
laser
movie.
beam, the laser beam part got a little weird. I'm not going to do any spoilers because I want people to watch it. But and now to
That
get
was, you definitely just spoiled it. I mean,
just laser beam. Yeah, fuck. It's from the 80s, right?
that was like 90s. It's like 90s.
Okay, 30 years. Wow, the 90s was 30 years ago.
Damn.
Where were we? Those
theaters.
those ghosts that got programs now inhabit all of us. And the only way to get enlightened and improve humanity and get rid of all the bad things that are wrong with you, be it your anxiety, your depression, your inadequacy, your insecurity, was L. Ron Hubbard's way, through some types of didactics. Wait, what is it called? Dynetics? Some types of Dianetics, and e-meters, technology that L. Ron Hubbard had discovered and was going to take you to enlightenment. And one day you'd go amongst the stars and return to the home planets as those ghosts who were thrown into the volcanoes came from.
Okay.
And there you'd be fully enlightened in happiness. And those spirits that were inside you had lived throughout history. So L. Ron Hubbard thought that in a previous life, he was Cecil Rhodes, one of the founders of apartheid. So not a really good guy. He also thought he was Julius Caesar in a past life.
Jesus.
And he thought that through a lot of manipulation, you could remember things from your past lives. And those core tenets were really your troubles of throughout history. So it's kind of appealing if you're like
Gullible.
Yo, I don't know, in a past, like who would you want to be in a past life?
A past life, I would like to be. I think I would be pretty good as somebody that just got shipwrecked for a while on a desert island.
Robinson Crusoe.
I would like to be Robinson Crusoe, yeah.
Or someone. And so actually some of these, they're mentioned in Mike Rinder's book. Some of these tactics that you developed are kind of hilarious. One of them was called bull baiting. I think we should kind of maybe do it live. But because of the reactive brain, which was a big element of the Dynetics, one of the programs they used to do was called bull baiting. And this was to train the mind to be non-reactive. So it was basically saying ridiculous things. This was a big one for kids. They put them in a room, sit them right next to each other, like PFT and I facing each other. And you'd have to just say the most outlandish things of any type of reaction, and the other person had to not react.
Got it.
So
Twitter.
I think
In-person Twitter.
Yeah.
Just like don't get triggered.
Just don't react.
Yeah.
Like anyway, no laughing, no crying, no just like
you're so triggered.
It's basically that viral video of like the two dudes saying lame jokes and not trying to make each other laugh, but like you could say anything.
Yep.
You say all sorts of things.
All right, Billy, back into your research, and then we'll get to the interview with Mike Rinder. Actually, Billy, tell you what. You know what I'm doing?
What you up to?
I'm actually going to go to the gym right after we're done recording this. It's not a brag, it's a fact, because we are doing Christmas abs. A lot of people are into the Christmas abs movement.
I know.
I'm getting a lot of
inspired to go.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of positive feedback from the Macrodosians out there. Love you guys. Thank you for jumping on board the Christmas abs movement. I have a long way to go. 2 bad visuals in there. I don't mean to like harp on negativity, and I know I've talked about my body breaking down through some injuries that I've had recently. An unlucky month. I'm a positive guy. I like to think I'm in pretty decent shape overall. There's some things I need to tweak. Like all of us, we could all use some improvement. A video came out where I was being the U at Rutgers because they didn't have a U, or their U guy was late. And it was during a break in the action where they were going to the sidelines and Brandon Walker was giving away a TV. Somebody asked me, there was the Rutgers people in front of me with their chest painted to say Rutgers. They were missing a U, and one person's like, "Oh, where's our U? We don't have U." And I was like, "Me?" I started doing the point. They're like, "Get up here, be the U." So I was the U. I took my shirt off, and there's a little bit of an overlap coming over the waistband right now.
You know what you need? A tip for helping you go hard in the gym, recover better? Concrete. Myth.
Good job, Billy.
Creatine is a type of steroid. Fact. Creatine is a natural molecule that your body produces, and it's present in various foods because your body needs more of it than it makes. Myth. Creatine is used to bulk up. Fact. Creatine helps with lean muscle gains, increased strength, endurance, and fitness. Concrete is the #1 bioavailable creatine with 70% greater plasma uptake than standard creatine monohydrate. Concrete is the only microdosing creatine with only 1 small scoop per 100 pounds of body weight. Creatine is absolutely required for functional energy in every cell of your body. Your muscles need creatine to perform optimally and grow stronger. Turns out your brain uses about 20% of the creatine in your body just to think. Concrete fuels your body and mind. I love Concrete. I actually just took it right during our break. Take control of your health, both body and mind. Build a better you with Concrete. Register now at concrete.com/podcast. That's CON-CRET.com/podcast. Receive free membership to Planet Fitness for an entire year plus a $500 Walmart Visa gift card. Available now online and in-store at Walmart. Concrete is truly a life-changing and performance-enhancing. I love Concrete. I actually been doing it all the time. It's the best thing is working out back to back. I can work out 4 days a week straight, and then work 4 days of weight training and then cardio. And I've only been able to do that with concrete because I don't have the muscle soreness. Like, that's a fact. So I can play basketball twice a week, lift 4 times a week, 1 rest day, and that's how I roll. And it's literally like, I wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for concrete. I'd be walking around after leg day like dying, not being able to jump or play any type of sport.
That's not how Billy rolls.
Yeah. Couldn't do without concrete.
Thank you, concrete. I will be taking concrete. I will be getting Christmas abs, or at least 2 abs. I'm gonna have 2 abs by Christmas. That means that I will have lost some weight, some body fat at least.
So just wanted to list off some famous Scientologists because we talked about how they are so involved with celebrities. Kirstie Alley, Annie Archer, Catherine Bell, Nancy Cartwright, Erica Christensen, Chick Corea.
Nancy Cartwright, that's she does the voice of, I want to say, Bart on The Simpsons. I don't want to screw that up. Nancy Cartwright, she's definitely a voice actor on The Simpsons. And I think Chef from South Park, Isaac Hayes, he was a Scientologist. And I think it led to a gigantic falling out between him and Trey Parker and Matt Stone. And I think he was a guy that like got kidnapped low-key by them.
Nancy Cartwright?
No, Chef from South Park. Isaac Hayes.
Huh.
Yeah, she is the longtime voice of Bart Simpson on The Simpsons. Damn, good pull, PFT. Thanks, everyone.
I'm going to be honest, I don't know a lot of these people.
Thanks, Avery.
As we get into later in the interview, most of these people joined in the 70s. Mm-hmm. Tom Cruise, Jason Doring, Jenna Elfman, Dougie Fresh, Isaac. Is that real? Dougie Fresh?
Dougie Fresh, he was a musical artist, yeah.
Okay. Isaac Hayes, Vivian Kubrick, Alana Masterson, Christopher Masterson, Danny Masterson, Elizabeth Moss, Giovanni Ribisi, John Travolta, Greta Van Susteren, Katie Holmes, Nicole Kidman, flirted with it. Brad Pitt took some preliminary classes, and so did Jerry Seinfeld. So yeah, a ton of big names. Pretty much everyone in Hollywood either knows somebody who's in Scientology or at one point looked at a pamphlet. I'm going to be honest, one of the bartenders when we were out in LA at the Super Bowl was a Scientologist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I actually just now remembering that. He was, so I was like talking, I was at the bar and I was like, yeah, man, like, you know, is it true that everyone in Hollywood's like a Scientologist? And the guy at the bar was like, yeah, but it's not what you think. They have a lot of resources. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I was like, oh, really? Like, how do you know? And he was like, well, I'm actually a Scientologist myself. And I was like, oh shit.
Did he try to convert you?
Actually, you were there too. It was at the basement bar. It was at the hotel we were at.
Okay.
Remember that first night we got there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that bartender was a Scientologist.
Oh, I was just there for a little bit. Unlike you, the first night that we got there, I went to sleep because we had work to do.
I had just finished driving lots of miles.
Okay.
I was blown off steam.
Yeah. So it sounds like you really got to know this bartender pretty well. Billy.
The mountains are actually more blue in California. I don't know if you knew
Especially
that.
after you drive many miles. Yeah. So.
That was Wild Bill, too.
Yeah, that was Wild Bill.
West
Wild
of the Rockies.
Bill messed the Scientologist.
Wild Bill might be a Scientologist. Okay, so honestly, I want to try to become a Scientologist.
I think
I want to know the secrets. Like I want to know
There's a I don't like calling it a church, but there's one of their buildings on it's like 45th Street.
I'm gonna go.
It's right next to the theater that Hamilton's at.
I'm gonna come.
Actually,
I'm gonna come.
Actually, realistically, you should just read that book because it gives up all the secrets.
Okay.
All the cool ones.
Billy did read this book, by the way. The book by Mike Rinder, A Billion Years, My Escape from a Life in the Highest Ranks of Scientology, with our upcoming guest. Billy read the entire thing, cover to cover.
Yeah, I did. It kind of kept me up. I couldn't really sleep last night. Basically, when I always get a good book and then like I don't sleep because I'm just reading it and then I'm just get obsessed with it. Little bit of obsessive compulsive. But with that, there's also tons of technology that Hubbard made that he claimed was like supposed to see your alien ghosts and like test out your true intentions. And it was called the E-meter.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically it's supposed to work like, you know what, there's those machines that run electricity through different like potatoes and stuff that transmits electricity. It sort of runs like that and like gives you a reading based on that.
Yeah. With the potato thing, you can just build a battery out of a potato.
Yeah. So that's, I think kind of how the actual technology works. But it basically, this e-meter is easy to convince people because it's like one of those things, like almost like a Ouija board, where you can always denounce something from whatever it's reading.
Okay.
It's not something like a lie detector where it could like actually like just detect something actual measurably.
Yeah, and I've also heard that they inject you with niacin and some other things, and then if your skin gets flushed, they say these are all the bad chemicals inside you that are rushing to the surface, but it's just niacin.
Niacin's wild.
Yeah.
It's a really good active ingredient in Red Bull. But one of the big things is, Hubbard was basically running a Ponzi scheme of sorts. He was getting a bunch of people, pyramid scheme, to, read his books, keep buying new materials to like get the next chapter of Scientology. At one point, he was running into different problems with the law. He had to hop on a boat for a time, hop around the Mediterranean. Everyone who lived on there were called the Sea Org. And basically, the craziest part about Scientology is that it did at one point become tax exempt. Before 1967, because it was a religion, they had a tax exempt status. In 1967, the IRS then figured out that it was one of these things that it was a fraud. So they took away the tax exempt status because a lot of the money was being funneled to Hubbard. They targeted alcoholics and drug addicts who were supposed to partake in their Narconon Foundation, which is basically converting alcoholics and drug abusers to Scientologists and basically getting them clean through the power of Scientology, which is a great recruitment tool when you think about it. And that was in 1966. The Sea Org was established when they took away their tax exempt status so they could really operate without a nation, bounce around to several different countries, one of them being Portugal, where the Portuguese started to think that the Sea Orgs, which was all of Hubbard's seamen, were part of the CIA. So at that point...
The Seamen.
Well, the Sea Org, the Sea Organization, which was basically...
made up by various seamen.
Yes, which Hubbard put together from the most devoted Scientologists. It was kind of a sweatshop of sorts. But with that, Hubbard returned to America. At one point, he was hiding out in Queens and just sort of projecting messages from afar. The people around him were called messengers. And basically, this is how he ran his huge empire. It was sort of very interesting in like the way he ran his empire. Anyone who got too close to him, and basically the highest ranking Scientologists, always got capped in some sort. They always got denounced from the church because they were supposed to reach this level of enlightenment. That's why they're all climbing the ranks to reach the final level of enlightenment and almost get parallel to Hubbard. And as soon as they got closer and closer, they always started to realize, like, wait a second, this might be bullshit. And that's when Hubbard would take him out. One of them was Mary Jo, who was the head of all the financing of one of the entities. And this continued until Hubbard died. And Hubbard had several heart attacks. He was an avid smoker, but he thinks that he died of lung cancer because he didn't smoke enough.
I love that.
Yeah, that's
that
what
rocks.
I think caused his lung cancer.
That dude rocks.
Dudes rock.
That's fucking cool. Like, you get the first heart attack, he's like, well, I better switch to reds. Then you get two more. Something's going wrong. All right, I'll tear the filter off. Give me a hookah. I say what you want about L. Ron Hubbard, but that's fucking cool.
I believe he's also credited with the most works of fiction ever in history.
Really?
Yeah, he wrote
I thought that would be Billy's blogs. Big T like that one.
That was good.
Then David Miscavige is now the head of Scientology. So we're going to talk a little bit about Miscavige with our guest that's coming up. He's got some, a lot of one-on-one interaction with him. But Miscavige was L. Ron Hubbard's cameraman for his Scientology training films that he used to do. So it's like if Frankie Borelli ended up taking over Barstool Sports somewhere down the line. So that's kind of the dynamic they had. He was He was the cameraman, and L. Ron Hubbard would probably be like, "All right, menthol review. Take one. Let me light up 2 of them. All right, give this a 9.1. I wish it hit a little bit harder. All right, David, hit record." So yeah, he was the cameraman, and was doing the training films. Then when Miscavige died, when L. Ron Hubbard died, Miscavige took over because at that point he was the chief marketing officer. So it is actually very similar to Frankie's rise through the company that we work at right now.
The craziest thing was Hubbard when he died. Everyone thought there was no way Hubbard could die, and they described dying as leaving. I think it was shedding their body, because you were not just a human in a body. Your body contained the ghost aliens who'd been blown up in the volcano, and you were just shedding your body to go live in another human in another dimension. So Hubbard was, since he was the head and part of the Galactic Federation, he got to the point where it was like, if he died, people would be skeptical. So when he died, he had the explanation, and he told his cameraman, one of his trusted confidants, tell them that I, left my body to do more discoveries on the ethereal plane of enlightenment. And that's how it was described. Like, he had to leave his body in order to, find out more, to continue his research. He had to leave his body. And he said he was coming back, because everyone who was part of the Sea organization, part of that if you join the Sea organization, there was a 1 billion year contract that you had to sign. And every time you died, you were promised to come back in 25 years. So they thought at most he'd be gone 25 years, if not probably sooner, because he was higher ranking than everyone in the Sea organization.
Interesting.
So that was what bought him time. If he were to returned, it would have been in 2007. I'm pretty sure. Or actually, did I get the math wrong? No, yeah, or 2000. Yeah. So with that, he died after suffering a stroke. And it's just wild how many lies, and just we get into way better with Rinder, who we interviewed. But just the culture of not questioning anything is just so fascinating.
It's kind of like he created QAnon for a pre-internet era.
Yeah.
And the QAnon was the entire religion and that structure.
Think about this.
Like he was the one that was bestowed with God, like the message. He's the original QAnon.
If Hubbard just had a podcast,
this
would have been way less damaging to everybody. He probably would have just told you stories about aliens. He would have just read his new story every week he wrote. People would have tuned in. He would have had an audience. He would have made money.
Counterpoint, we wouldn't have gotten Top Gun 2.
True.
So,
Explain.
yeah. Well, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise.
Okay.
Whatever Tom Cruise has done to his own brain to manipulate it and trick himself into...
It was worth it.
It was worth it because we got Top Gun 2.
That's fair.
It's the price you have to pay. Maybe a couple 100,000 people got diet kidnapped, I guess you could call it. Kidnapped zero. Sugar-free kidnapped. Kidnapped light. But Tom Cruise made Top Gun 2, which I think that kind of evens out a little bit. Miscavige, and we should all say allegedly because they're probably going to sue us.
I actually hope one of these
that'd be great
private
for us,
investigators.
honestly.
Let's publicly feud with them.
So this is all publicly available information. David Miscavige, the head of Scientology right now. So he's been linked to reports of abuse. He was investigated by the FBI for human trafficking. And he's had just a lot of people saying that he has done some pretty bad, evil, dirty things in the name of Scientology. In fact, his own wife, Shelley Miscavige, went missing for quite some time. And Leah Remini, when she made her police report, she was saying hey, please try to find his wife because nobody knows where she is and no one's seen her in public. Because allegedly she filled several job vacancies at the church without her husband's permission and kind of crossed him. They had some issues. She went completely missing. The police looked into it. And then some people say that she is being held under guard at their gold base that they have, which is something that you'll hear Mike Rinder describe when he comes on the show, like that sort of like kidnapping stuff, basically. We don't know if any of that's true. We don't know that it's not, but these are all things that have been reported and corroborated by other sources.
And the thing is, Scientology has been able to remain, and actually in 1993 finally got its tax exempt status back after a 40-year battle. They've been just manipulating governments by intimidation, bribery, and sometimes like basically every local government that they operate around, be it Clearwater, Florida, the spiritual place in their spot in California, they all hate them, and it's because Scientologists have just pestered them with any type of resistance to Scientology operating. Any politician who's raised any sort of skepticism has been harassed and intimidated by their group of private investigators, which a ton of them are actually Scientologists. So if we air this, like, we might have some private investigators show up at our doors.
I hope not.
It might be fun.
Think
about the content.
I don't want to get investigated privately by anybody.
No, but what if they just like show up at the office and like try to harass us, and we just take cameras out and make some sick
A private investigator? You mean like a dude? Tell him to leave.
I would say I'd like for you to speak with my attorney. His name is Frank the Tank.
Yes.
And I will leave you to get on with the discussion.
We just lock him in a room with Frank the Tank.
Yes.
That'd be so funny. Think about the content.
That'd be great content. All right. So tell you what, let's get into our interview. This is a fantastic interview, I thought. Mike Rinder, former Scientologist. He was very high up in Scientology. I think he was, I'm going to look up his official job title right now that he had.
He was on the board of the church.
He was on the board of directors of the Church of Scientology until 2007. He was the head of its Office of Special Affairs. You might have seen him in the HBO documentary Going Clear. And he co-hosted all 3 seasons of the Emmy Award-winning show Leah Remini, Scientology, and the Aftermath on A&E. And him and Remini currently co-host the podcast Scientology Fair Game. So here he is, Mike Rinder. Okay, now we welcome on a very special guest. He wrote a book. Congratulations on writing a book. It's called A Billion Years, My Escape from a Life in the Highest Ranks of Scientology. It's Mike Rinder. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did indeed. You got it right on.
Mike Rinder. He's joining us, and he's going to talk to us about his life and about the book. It's critically acclaimed, I would say. Is that fair?
Oh, that's very fair. I'm glad you mentioned that. It really wasn't what I expected to have any critical acclaim. I'm no writer. I wasn't really... not trained as a writer, and never intended to be a writer, but yes, it's been very well received, both by people who are former Scientologists or not, and also by, in literary circles, which is a little strange to me.
All right, well, congratulations. We'll do a full review on it. I know that Billy read the entire book cover to cover.
I couldn't put it down. It was fascinating.
So,
great.
we got a ton of questions for you. I guess right off the bat, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became involved in the Church of Scientology?
Sure. I was raised a Scientologist. My parents got in when I was growing up in Australia in the late 1950s, when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and I sort of became immersed in the subject through my parents. One thing about Scientology is there's no, as Hubbard, the founder of Scientology, liked to say, there's no half in and half out in Scientology. You're either in or you're out. You're 100% committed or you're not a Scientologist. And that holds true to this day. And when I finished school, I joined what is called the C organization, which is the inner core elite of Scientology. That's where the title of the book comes from, A Billion Years, because in order to participate in that part of Scientology, you have to sign a contract committing yourself to 1 billion years in the service of Scientology. And that was sort of almost a preordained path for me to follow. I went and worked with the founder of Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard, on the ship that he had run away to in the Mediterranean for the first few years, and then moved to Clearwater, Florida in 1975, where Hubbard and Scientology sort of established a base for itself, and subsequently rose up the ranks in Scientology to be on the board of directors of the Church of Scientology International and the international spokesperson of Scientology until I escaped in 2007.
Escaped is an interesting word that you chose right there. You view it as like a complete escape. They had that much control over your life?
Yes, I do. And, anybody I think who has left this organization from the level that I was at would qualify their departure as an escape. Larry Wright, in his wonderful book, Going Clear, subtitled it Scientology in the Prison of Belief. The escaping aspect of it isn't so much climbing over the barbed wire fences or escaping the security guards or whatever. It is escaping the prison of your mind and the ideas that have been implanted in you that if you leave this organization, you are doomed to an eternity of blackness and hell, and will find yourself in what Scientologists call the WOG world, which is the terminology that they use for everything that is not Scientology. It's a pretty derogatory term. And that you will probably contract cancer and die. And that is the image that is portrayed of the world outside this very isolated, insular bubble of the Sea Organization. So, yeah, it was an escape. And if you read the beginning of the book, I sort of start with the day that I escaped and then go back and recount my history from there. And it's a bit of I don't know how exactly to describe it. It's sort of like a movie scene of getting into a subway and knowing that there were probably people following me and jumping on at the last minute and not being sure. It's a bit of a drama.
Interesting. So I want Billy to really unload some questions on you because he is fascinated. He's been talking about your book all day. So he's kind of been annoying me. If you want to adopt him, you can. We'll get into that in a second. But I'm curious from your perspective, because a lot of people that have never been in the Church of Scientology, we don't know about what Scientology is. If you ask people on the street, what is a Christian? They would probably say it was somebody that believes in Jesus being the Son of God and promising them eternal salvation through that figure. But when it comes to Scientology, like I couldn't tell you off the top of my head until I did a little bit of research what Scientologists believe. So what do Scientologists believe? What is Scientology?
Well, that's a really tough question. And if you ask Scientologists that question, they have a pat reply. Look, buy a book and read about it for yourself. And you see Scientology celebrities saying that all the time. In fact, Leah Remini, my buddy, did a tweet the other day taking all these clips of Scientology celebrities from Tom Cruise to Kirstie Alley to Danny Masterson saying, oh, buy a book and find out for yourself. And her little wise ass comment was, buy Mike Rinder's book and find out for real. Mm-hmm. So this is part of the sort of way that people get immersed in Scientology and then find themselves kind of getting further and further down the rabbit hole. I, as the international spokesperson of Scientology, used to use that line, get a book and read about it and you'll find out for yourself. But if I was to summarize what Scientology is and what they believe that man is a spiritual being occupying a body with a mind, and that Scientology, in fact, L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology, developed what he called technology, which is his word that he used to describe his teachings, if you're a Christian, you would then be saying the Bible is a technology. To make it sound sort of scientific and like it works all the time, that his technology provides the only, very emphasized on only, path to full spiritual salvation and happiness, to world peace, to eradicating suffering, to eradicating, insecurities or emotional upsets or problems in your life. It is the answer literally to everything.
Interesting.
So something that interesting that you said earlier, that you're not a writer and you never studied to be a writer. Throughout your book, you talk about how much you had to study Scientology literature, and L. Ron Hubbard was a writer. So, he was a fiction writer to begin with. So honestly, for how much you studied his works and all of his writings, I feel like you kind of secondhandly did study as a writer through reading a writer's writings. So,
well, I guess there's some truth to that because, I firmly believe that reading reading anything is the best way to learn about something or get yourself educated and to become literate. And I did a lot of reading. Scientologists are required to read a lot because Hubbard wrote a lot. He wrote thousands and thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, millions of words. And Scientologists are expected to study all those in order to absorb the wisdom of L. Ron Hubbard to become a, better person and save the world.
Is there any explanation inside the religion itself of L. Ron Hubbard being selected as the only person that can tell you? Like, is he like a half deity? Was he chosen by some mystical, powerful force, or why is he the only person that you can only like truly believe what he has said?
Well, he said, I'm not from this planet. I have come here to save mankind. But, effectively, while he made a lot of pronouncements saying, well, I'm not a god, I'm just a man, I'm not, don't take me at my word, see if what I say works. Those are sort of toss-off lines that were used when criticism would come in about, well, Hubbard is deemed himself as God or the chosen one, but in the bits where he was saying the quiet bits out loud, he said, I'm not from this planet and I came here to save you all. And somehow or another, he, different from anybody in the entire history of Earth, uncovered the true secrets of why everybody on this planet suffers in some form or another, whether it's from physical infirmities or insecurities or emotional difficulties or whatever. He said he's the only person in history who has come up with the answers to that. And it's interesting because if you study Scientology, the first answer that Hubbard came up with was in this book that he called Dianetics. And Dianetics was a very clever device where he said, you as an individual have this thing that is causing you to do bad shit or causing you to be sick or causing you to be upset. And it's called the reactive mind. And it is this thing that he claimed was a subconscious mind that controls your actions and emotions. And of course, the only way to resolve the reactive mind was through his technology, Dianetics. And he claimed that if you got rid of the reactive mind, that you would be a perfect human being. You would have eidetic memory. You wouldn't be upset about things. You wouldn't have any physical ailments. You would be like what he called homo novus, new man. When a lot of people sort of cottoned onto this and Dianetics became popular in 1950 when it was released, it was sort of a fad at the time. But then people who supposedly had done all this removal of their reactive mind were just as dumb as the rest of them. he decided he needed a new thing. And that's when Scientology, I mean, there's a lot of complications that go into this, but he then came up with Scientology and said, oh, wait a minute, we need to address the spirit, not just the reactive mind. So now there's this whole, we're going to be Scientology. And then, oh, well, because we're having problems, let's turn it into a religion because we're addressing the spirit, because that will help because people like religion. Oh, now we didn't have the solution with that. Let's do this. And it's a progressive series of, here's the new promise to fulfill the old promise that I made that nobody could attain, all the way to the last day of his life.
So yeah, I mean, for a second, it sounded like you were actually talking me into Dianetics for a moment. I was like, yeah, I got to get rid of my reactive mind. That's what's screwing me up.
And the beauty of it, Avery, is that when you're told it's the reactive mind, it's not you. You're not the cause of your problems. This other thing is, and we can get rid of that. So you can wash your hands of being responsible for being an asshole. You can wash your hands of being responsible for becoming a drug addict. We just tell you, we got this thing over here and we'll deal with that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Arian. I know I interrupted you. I saw you were about to start talking.
I've been saying for years.
That's good. We're here for you. We're here for you.
Avery is the root of all my problems, but maybe he might not be. So
there you go.
Some people might disagree with you on that. Arian, what were you going to say?
I was going to say that that's the interesting thing about Dianetics. And I think what its draw was like back when it was released, it was kind of, I was reading this study from PubMed that kind of like juxtaposed Dianetics versus regular therapy, so like psychotherapy, and it was like new, like you said, it was a fad, but it was very, I would guess, I guess the best word is it worked because what it did was it took people, it was like therapy. So it took people, it's like, well, what is the root cause of your trauma? Go back to the first memory of why does that hurt? What do you see? And it really makes people like self-reflect, which is, I think, a rare occurrence in our entertainment-driven society. But it brings me to my question I wanted to ask you is like, what do you think was the main catalyst of it catching on to like being such a popular religion? Because I think, you know, quote unquote formal religions, they kind of have the luxury of history on their side, where it's like it's harder to test and it's harder to be inaccurate because it happened so long ago, right? This was so current and new age. Like, what do you think was the catalyst to getting people to say, no, this is what it is?
Well, I think that's a great question, Arian. And I think that in the beginning, in 1950, if you got to realize that was a time when there was an enormous fear about nuclear war in the world. The Cold War was going on. People were insecure. You know, the war had ended and families had been disrupted. And there was a lot of angst. And I think that this appeal of Dianetics was that it was sort of, it was like the first self-help craze of, look, I can do something about how I'm feeling and make myself feel better. And you bring up a wonderful point. People find value in things in Dianetics and Scientology. Look, if the whole thing was just bullshit and people were just paying a whole lot of money to get absolutely nothing, nobody would be involved in it. There are elements that Hubbard took and put into Dianetics of regression therapy and things from Freud, and then in Scientology from Eastern religion. And he took this stuff from all over. So there are these little kernels of workable things that are contained in Dianetics and Scientology. And as you say, the principal theory of Dianetics is regression. You go back to the beginning of whatever the incident or moment of upset or whatever is, and look upon it and talk about it and sort of, you know, for lack of a better word, talk it out. And that, if people believe that something is going to help them, and particularly if they pay a little money for it, and then they go and participate in it, many people will find that, or you will find many people who will say, wow, this really helped me. I feel so much better now. It's very subjective. There's no way of verifying whether they really are feeling better or not feeling better. But if they say they are, they are. And if that combined then with you get a bunch of other people around you supporting you and saying the same thing, the confirmation bias becomes very, very heavy. So in the initial phase of Dianetics, I think that was the appeal. Then when Scientology really grew wasn't until the 1970s. And Scientology was a child of the counterculture of the 1970s. It was the anti-establishment religion. And a lot of people who joined Scientology in the 70s joined Scientology not because they thought Scientology was so wonderful, but because the government was attacking Scientology. So therefore it must be good. It was literally the, if the government says Scientology sucks, we say we love Scientology and we're going to go join up. So those are the two biggest periods of expansion for Scientology in its history. It is dwindling today. The internet has sort of killed the cult in society because information is the poison that cults can't deal with. But that to me is sort of the two parts or two things that caused the growth of Dianetics and then Scientology.
So from your perspective, you came up in this religion, you were intimately involved with a lot of the big decision-making and the details and communications of Scientology, and you walked away, you decided to leave. Well, first question, we had Michael Cohen, who used to be Donald Trump's lawyer, on the show, and he's doing like a mea culpa tour. We asked him if he was a rat. Are you a rat?
Yeah, I guess to some extent. Although I would characterize myself more as a whistleblower.
Right.
Like you're a rat if you're us. I'll characterize myself as a whistleblower. I won't go down that rabbit hole.
I think that's fair. But what made you decide, okay, this is enough. I need to get out. I've seen enough where I know that this entire thing can't be something that I support any longer.
Well, it was a long time coming, honestly. And, I talk about that in the book, the sort of mental anguish that I was going through for a considerable period of time. But ultimately, what happened was I was sent to London to deal with a BBC reporter named John Sweeney, who was doing a program for Panorama on the BBC. And he sort of doorstepped me with a camera crew and started shoving a microphone in my face and saying, I have reliable witnesses that say that David Miscavige, the then current leader of Scientology, has physically abused and assaulted you on many occasions. And I stood there and said, that's just a lie. And we'll sue you if you put that on the air, knowing full well that it was absolutely true. And I walked away from that and kind of went, what the fuck am I doing with my life? I'm here standing on TV defending this guy who is physically assaulting people, including me. That's not what I believed I was getting into Scientology for. But there was still this element that remained of, I can't abandon my two children and my wife. I can't just walk out the door and, leave them behind. And like a day, very shortly thereafter, David Miscavige, the head of Scientology, wrote this email, sort of. I only say sort of because it wasn't really an email. It was called something else, but it's like an email. And he CC'd me on it. He sent it to someone else and CC'd me on it and said, Rinder's never coming back to the U.S. I'm sending him off to Western Australia where he can go, and I'll give him 10 quid. And if he can't survive with that, he can go sell his body on the street. And I quote this thing in the book. And I went, okay, there is absolutely nothing left for me. I have got to get out of here. Hell would be better than what I'm going through. And I detail a lot of what had been going on prior to that. And this internal prison that I had been in called The Hole, which anybody who's watched Going Clear saw a little bit about that. So I made my little plan. And then the day after that is when I escaped.
Talking about the apparatus of compliance with a lot of the higher ups, what type of infrastructure did Scientology have to ensure people were complying, be it private investigators? How large of a force did they have, not only physically, just so people can understand, besides the sort of mental prison they had you in, but there was tons of physical measures that they took to ensure compliance with the members of Scientology. Could you go into some of those?
Yeah, and remember, there are sort of different categories of people involved in Scientology. There's the people that give the money, who are called parishioners. They're like the congregation that live out in the world in their own homes or whatever, but come into Scientology to hand over their cash and then participate in Scientology services. And then there are people that work in Scientology organizations, and they're called staff members. And then at the very top, you have the Sea Org members like me. And we lived and worked in communal church-provided, or Scientology, I hate the word church, organization-provided living facilities, work facilities, et cetera, et cetera. Those facilities, particularly the one that is the international headquarters, or designated the international headquarters of Scientology in Riverside County in California, near a little town out there called Hemet, although the city of Hemet hates it when Scientology says we're near Hemet, because they're not in Hemet, but it's the closest near town that anybody knows. That facility has a very elaborate security system. There are 24-hour-a-day security guards who sit at the booths guarding the two entrances with sliding gates that can only be opened from inside the booth. They have motorcycles that they patrol around the property. There are cameras literally everywhere and all around the perimeter. There is a fence that has razor wire on the top of it. The fences are lit with lights that light up from motion sensors in the ground. There's motion sensors on the fences there. And the property itself is remote. It is, 5 miles from the nearest other living person. So you have a facility there which is incredibly difficult to get out of unless you have a vehicle, but most people don't have vehicles. Sea Org members don't. There are a few exceptions. David Miscavige's father escaped by driving through the gate, and someone else escaped in the trunk of a visitor's car. And there have been various stories of the escapes from that property called Gold or Golden Era. But then there is, if you do escape, there is a thing called the blow drill. And the blow drill, blow is the term that's used within the Sea organization or Scientology to mean an escape or an unauthorized departure. And the blow drill, if someone important leaves, like me, is instantly activated, and a whole bunch of people and private investigators, et cetera, go into action to track the person down and get them back. And that entails, when you're in the Sea Org, you provide every piece of information about your life, your family, your background, your bank accounts, your social security number, et cetera. A team of people gets started on, okay, does he have any credit cards? Has he booked an airline flight? Has he booked a bus? Has he booked a taxi? Like they hotel. They go everywhere and anywhere. And once the person is found, they track them down and go and visit them, usually with someone who is a family member or someone that they looked up to in the organization, to persuade them to return. And sometimes people have been persuaded to return in not just a discussion persuasion, but shoved into the back of a van and driven back. This is but there is sort of a more sinister compliance technique that is used in Scientology. Scientology is a snitch culture, entirely and utterly. You are required to report on anything and anybody who is doing anything that seems even suspicious, let alone violation of the rules of Scientology. And that includes your spouse, your any close family members, anybody. The penalty for failing to report someone who is doing something that is in violation of what Scientology considers good is that you get the same penalty that they would get for having committed the act. So if you see someone doing something and it's bad, or suspect that they're doing something bad, you're expected to report. It's very, very Stasi. It is the way that people are monitored and controlled in Scientology, and the fear of people turning you in is a massive thing that controls the world of Scientology.
Interesting. What would happen if Tom Cruise were to try to escape Scientology? What is the protocol with a high profile exit like that? Do they bend the rules for him, since he does carry so much power in communicating that message to the outside world? Or what do you think that situation would look like? A code red Tom Cruise is trying to get out.
Well, the closest thing that I know to that is Leah Remini. When she was trying to leave, she wanted to leave properly. She didn't want to just cut ties and walk away. And so she went to Scientology and said, look, I'm pissed about what's going on here. I don't agree with this. I don't agree with that. I want to know what's going on here. I want to know what's going on there. So they sent people to her home to seek to, first of all, talk her out of whatever it was that she thought was going on that was inappropriate. When she was less than responsive and didn't really kowtow to their wishes, which just so you understand, when Scientology comes to a person and says, look, don't listen to what Mike Rinder says, he's a suppressive person, they are effectively saying, ignore anything that guy says because he's evil incarnate. And we are telling you he is evil, and so you must believe us. You just accept what we tell you at face value because we don't want you inquiring any further. But at one point, Leah was then told, well, you need to go from Los Angeles to the headquarters, the spiritual headquarters in Clearwater, and undergo a confessional, which is, admit to your crimes using this Scientology lie detector device called E-meter. And she was she was convinced to do that on the basis that if she didn't, her entire family would be torn apart. Her mother, who was a Scientologist, her sister, who was a Scientologist, her stepfather, her husband, would all be forced to disconnect from her, which is the practice that what Scientologists call this, removal of bad influences from your environment or life. She didn't even buckle under after having spent $300,000 to undergo this sect checking or interrogation at Clearwater. And ultimately what happened, they kept rising up the levels of people who were sent or, put forth to deal with Leah. she chewed all of them up and eventually ended up being seen by David Miscavige himself to try and convince her that all was on the up and up. And she didn't buy his bullshit either, and so eventually left. And that's probably what would happen with Tom Cruise, although he would go straight to the David Miscavige step.
Now, why are so many celebrities, and specifically celebrities as opposed to politicians or other public figures, why are there so many Scientologist celebrities, and how do Scientologists attract those types of people?
Well, Hubbard recognized very early on that celebrities have a great influence on the population, and he targeted celebrities to be brought into Scientology as a way of spreading the word. And in fact, there are organizations in Scientology devoted exclusively to dealing with celebrities. They're called celebrity centers. There is a big one in Hollywood, in Los Angeles, and they cater primarily to people in the arts, the field of the arts. What Scientology offers to artists is they claim that Hubbard discovered the only real technology there is, and again, that word technology, of how you go about effectively communicating. And that he uncovered these secrets of how you communicate with other people and control communication. And this is what every artist is about. Artists are about communicating. They are about communicating a message, a role, a musical piece, a book, whatever, to their intended audience. And Scientology makes a great pitch to celebrities saying, look, we have the technology of communication, so come and find out about it for yourself. Now, I will say that in the last 2 decades, there has not been any new big-name Scientology celebrities. The only one who has emerged in this time really is Elizabeth Moss, but she was raised a Scientologist. She wasn't attracted into Scientology by the pitch about dealing with communication. She was raised into Scientology like I was. So the appeal of Scientology, as I said before, the internet has sort of been the poison that has killed or is slowly killing or quickly killing Scientology, because nobody these days does anything or goes anywhere. They don't even buy a new toothbrush without Googling. And the instant you Google Scientology, you get a shitstorm of information provided by people like me, not the information that Scientology sticks out in the world that nobody really is interested in.
It sounds like you guys are, not you guys, but Scientologists could really use, like, you're pretty desperate for a new celebrity right now. I would recommend getting in touch with Kyrie Irving. I feel like he would be, if we're betting on a celebrity that could be influenced, it would be like probably Kyrie, number one.
Kanye.
Kanye would be a good one as well.
He's a good candidate, I'd say.
I would do. I don't know what your standards, your barriers for entry on celebrity are, but I would just
very low.
Okay, then let's discuss. I have very low scruples, so like I could be a Scientologist. Now the process to becoming a Scientologist, to be like officially welcomed, I've heard, you stop by a Scientology center, you walk in the door, you're greeted. What happens in that first introductory meeting once you step inside those doors?
Okay, well, Hubbard also developed a technology for how you get people into Scientology. And his technique is you use some method, whether it's just a conversation or whether it's one of these free personality tests that they offer, or a introductory demonstration of the Scientology e-meter. Whatever it is, you get the person and you find their ruin. This is what the term that Hubbard used, find their ruin. It means isolate what it is that they want to deal with in their life or improve in their life. And then you say, Scientology can help with that. And then proceed to explain whatever bullshit you can come up with of what bit of Scientology is going to resolve whatever the problem. And Scientology at the introductory level has all of these, they're called introductory courses: how to save your marriage, how to deal with people better, how to deal with your finances, how to deal with upsets, and how to raise happy children. All of these things that, are common problems that people have in the world. And they have these little courses that cost very little. And they offer sort of platitudes of, just kind of hard to argue with, sort of, here's some lessons that you can take from us here in Scientology about how to do better with this. Or if they've got, upsets, that start telling them about the reactive mind, and, we can resolve your emotional upsets, or we can resolve your, Hubbard claims in Dianetics that Dianetics cures everything from cancer to eyesight to bursitis to asthma. And we'll cure all of those things with Dianetics. And once you start on the path in Scientology, the pitch then becomes, look, you found this that helped you from L. Ron Hubbard, and there is this vast array of other technology. Why don't you take the next step and see if that helps you too? And while the drop-off percentage of people who walk in a door of a Church of Scientology and then take their first introductory service is enormous, the drop-off percentage of those who take that first service and carry on is also enormous. If you've got drones out on the street grabbing people off Hollywood Boulevard and pulling them in, you will find, 1 out of 100 suckers. And if you've got enough of them coming in, then you will have some new additions to the Scientology world. But these days, there are also people who wake up and leave. They come across things on the internet. They see a TV program. They read a book. They talk to a friend. So the attrition rate is greater than the new people in rate.
Got it. Yeah, Billy?
Going more into the presence of Scientologists in Hollywood, you see that there's like Battlefield Earth with John Travolta that was made, and some people speculate that Will Smith in After Earth was some sort of Scientology part of the same mythos. Are there producers in Hollywood? Does Scientology try to produce movies or influence all types of entertainment to try to attract more people or justify?
Well, I think he's got an Oscar. No, that's not an Oscar. What is that?
That's an Emmy.
An Emmy right behind him. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's for the Aftermath show with Leah Remini.
Okay.
That's from
for
after
anti.
I left.
Got
That's not in Scientology.
No, but good question, Billy.
That's a great question. Scientology has tried to produce one movie and did produce one movie, which is Battlefield Earth, one of the all-time Raspberry Award-winning bombs in the history of cinema. And has never tried to do anything subsequent to that. What they do though, is, and there's no big time producers or directors who are Scientologists, at least not overtly, not from lack of trying. I talk about in the book, bringing Ron Howard to the gold base to try and wine and dine him when Tom Cruise was making Far and Away, and me going to see Brian Grazer at the offices of Imagine to brief him about Scientology. But that has been a pretty unsuccessful pattern. What they do is they take people and who have had some minor success. You look them up on IMDb, and they had a bit part in a TV episode in 1993 So now they're the experts on how you get a role. So they do seminars, as these are more introductory services to try and attract people. And they go stand in the line at SAG of people waiting to make registrations or waiting to audition for a role somewhere. And they hand out these little cards and they say, hey, if you want to learn how to successfully audition, come to this place at 8:00 tonight. And that is the Celebrity Center in Hollywood. And they have some guy who had a role in 1993, and he imparts some, I don't know what, I have no idea what these people say, honestly. But whatever it is, that's the way that Scientology seeks to get artists into Scientology. They don't believe that, other than Tom Cruise reaching out to, Steven Spielberg or something, or Ron Howard, they don't believe that they're going to get any real big established stars. They believe that they can get people at the beginning of their career and then sort of coax them along and have them become a big star, and then credit Scientology for having made them a star.
They wanna build through the draft is what the rest of it.
That's exactly right. But way before the draft, actually, like the farm system, way down at Pop Warner level.
Yeah, Pee Wee level. Yeah, get them at the Pee Wee level. Yeah, sign with me.
Yeah.
I got a question. So, upon subsequent to your exodus,
yeah,
is there? Because my mother is what she likes to describe herself as, a recovering Catholic.
Yep.
And so she was raised in the Catholic school where, they would take rulers to kids' hands if they, they would get beat in school, that type shit. Yep. And so, she's 63, 64 years old now. And she still has like residual fear of hell. Like, she knows it's bullshit. She feels it's bullshit. She thinks it's bullshit, but like, it had been beat into her since she was a kid that if you don't do X, Y, Z, you're going to go in eternal pit fire. So she still battles internally with that residual fear, and a residual trauma is what it is. You're stoking trauma into children. And so I asked this respectfully, is there anything residual from the belief system of the Scientology that you kind of still carry with you, or feel that's somewhat accurate in the real world today, or something?
That's another great question, Arian. And I have two answers for it. One, the thing that I struggle most with was nightmares. Very classic PTSD. And the nightmare was always, I'm back and I can't escape. And I had those for 15 years almost. Wow. Until I wrote the book. And I say at the end in the epilogue that for the first time since I left, once I finished sort of spewing out the story of my life and revisiting everything that I had experienced, I no longer have those nightmares. And I'm very thankful for that. It is such a relief to me to not go to sleep at night worrying that I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat. The other thing that I have difficulty overcoming is for a long time, I had a really hard time figuring out whether what I thought was right or wrong about something was because that was really my view, or that had been how I had been raised to think. And the fear that I was making decisions based on assumptions or things that I, quote, knew, that were things that just aren't true, but came from Scientology. And I think that over the extensive period of time that I have now been gone from Scientology for, that I have sort of overcome that. I have spoken to a lot of people. I have talked this through with a lot of people who are in similar positions to me, but also with very, very smart people who study cult behavior, et cetera, et cetera. I guess there was really a third one, the one that I still struggle with, not using Scientology jargon. There is so many terms and words in Scientology that are only understood in the world of Scientology, and I still slip using words or terms or expressions for things that only really make sense to a Scientologist. And I go, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to call you a terminal, which is the Scientology word for someone that you're communicating with on the other side. Like, you three are right now terminals. And, you slip with some of these things because they're such habit, and some of the words don't translate easily into regular English. So that I still have to catch myself, and, particularly when I'm around, because my current wife was also a former member of the Sea Organization. So it's really easy for us to slip into the shorthand of Scientology terminology. And then because we're still using it a bit, to slip into it when I'm dealing with people outside of that world.
No, it's interesting you said, because really dope story, but long story short, I met this dude who I went to Japan. I visited in Japan, and he was saying how he was from Italy, and he moved there and he just stayed there. He opened up a bar, and he said something really profound, and he spoke like 5-6 languages, and he was like, the way in which, like, if you learn somebody else's language, that you're seeing through the lens and through the window of how they view the world. So it's really powerful for me hearing that, just saying that, you struggle with the lens that you were given to see the world. So, like, building upon that, how do you go about building your moral framework when you kind of broke out of your moral framework that was given to you?
Well, it's funny. I talk about that in the book too. One of the things that it oddly keeps people in Scientology is the fact that it's really easy to fall into the idea that everything about how you need to live your life, or the decisions you need to make, is dictated by Scientology. Like, you don't have to think about anything. You know what is right and wrong based on what Scientology tells you is right and wrong. You know what you should and shouldn't do based on what Scientology tells you you should and shouldn't do. And I write at the end of the book about what it was like to walk away from that, and for the first time, really, since I was 5 years old, have no moral compass. That it was just, what do I think is right or wrong? And, what I struggled with is my view clouded or colored by the lens through which I see it. It certainly was the greatest freedom that I experienced from leaving or escaping Scientology. The freedom to make my own decisions about what was right and wrong. And, it's hard sometimes, because if you don't have this outside force that you are so used to in making those sort of judgments, you kind of like, I'm not sure if I'm right. I'm not sure if I'm wrong. I sort of got to do what my gut tells me, what my heart tells me, what my intellect tells me is the right or wrong thing to do. But that has become clearer and clearer as there is more distance between my life today and that former life that I used to live.
It's fascinating. Big T, do you have any questions?
Yeah, you mentioned the hole, which some people might not know what that is. I was just curious if you could go into what that is and what it was like being there.
Yeah, the hole was a building at the international headquarters of Scientology out there in Riverside County that David Miscavige, the leader of Scientology, turned into a prison. The windows were locked down, screwed down, the doors were barred. There was a security guard put on the front. And people who were signed to the hole, me being one of the initial 6 founding members, were expected to eat, sleep, live, work, do everything inside that building. We were not allowed out except to take a shower periodically somewhere else. Other than that, no leaving at all. And the way to get out of the hole was never really clearly identified, but it had something to do with if you admit enough, confess enough horrible crimes and thoughts and things that you have done, particularly toward David Miscavige, you may be allowed to get out. And then that devolved into, as more and more people got added, eventually there was like 140 people in there, beating confessions and submissions out of other people, so that you could not only say, look, I admitted to all these terrible things, but I also got this other guy to come clean and admit to these terrible things. So I'm one of the good guys now. Please let me out. It was really like the Lord of the Flies, where the cruelty and the torture that was meted out from otherwise good people in the hope that they would be able to save themselves and rise to the top and exit out of this horrible, horrible little prison was pretty nasty. And I describe it at some length in the book, probably more length than it has ever been described anywhere. There was, like I said earlier, there was a sort of a depiction of one of the incidents in the musical chairs incident in the Going Clear movie, but it was vicious.
And thank you for sharing that. The irony in all that is, the more confessions you make to them, the more things that you tell them about some of the bad things that you've done or thought, then that's just more that they have, more information they have to imprison you and your mind in the future, because they have that blackmail on you.
Yeah, and even worse than that, it's not so much the blackmail. It's like, you're expected to admit that I was lazy, I was a liar, I was this, I was that, like all these things that made life very difficult for David Miscavige, in addition to anything else that you may have done. I was a peeping Tom, I was a this, I was that. And the inverse, the more force, threat, and pressure you put on someone, the less likely what they say or are willing to admit to is true.
Mm-hmm.
And so the biggest use of these forced confessions in the whole is today to take the people who were there and, like myself, put out websites where in my own handwriting it says, I'm a liar. So Scientology comes around now with those statements that were coerced or beaten out of me in the hole, in my own handwriting, saying I'm a liar, saying, well, see, he admits he's a liar. You can't trust anything he says about Scientology because he's a liar. So that's the best use they have for them, is to seek to discredit the sources of information that say things they don't like.
Yeah. No, so I've also noticed that Scientology or the Sea Org, they're very litigious. They've used the law and they've used civil courts as one of their biggest weapons to discourage people from speaking out. Do you have any residual fear? Have you been involved in litigation against them? Did they go after you?
Yes, of course.
Should we be afraid for having you on?
No. They're a paper tiger at this point. They send a lot of threat letters. They have an army of lawyers still that they pay a lot of money to write stupid letters, but they don't follow up on that because the lawsuits that were brought against the media have been singularly unsuccessful. The big one was they sued Time Magazine after the 1991 Rich Behar article and ended up losing that case big time in the U.S. Supreme Court, setting a precedent about actual malice. And the only other lawsuit that they have filed in the last decade was a lawsuit against a woman called Debbie Cook, who they claimed violated one of their non-disclosure agreements, and they sued her in San Antonio. And after she was on the stand for one day talking about being in the hole and the abuses of David Miscavige, Scientology folded their tent and settled with her, and she lives happily on a large ranch now.
That's nice. Yeah. So we appreciate you joining the show. Thank you for coming on. Again, this is Mike Rinder. You can buy his book, A Billion Years, My Escape from a Life in the Highest Ranks of Scientology. Anything else that you'd like to share about the book? Any other important information that you want to express to our readers before we let you go?
Well, just one thing. I hope that people who read this book walk away from it going, look, if this guy could change his life at 52 years old and escape with nothing, literally the clothes on his back, whatever it is that's going on in my life, I can change too. I can actually make things better by doing something. And I don't want people to think that the only message of the book is Scientology sucks. Because actually the message of the book is, look, this can happen to anybody. You can be in a bad relationship. You can have a bad job. You can be involved in a cult, whatever, but you can also change it.
Yeah, I bet that was a great feeling. I always talk about my, maybe the best feeling of my life is when I quit and I walked away from a job that I loathed, that I detested, and just the feeling of driving away, seeing that office building in my rearview mirror, even though I had nothing lined up. The rush that I got from doing that made me instantly realize that it was the correct thing to do. I have to imagine that when you finally got away, when you escaped Scientology, you were able to look back and starting new was maybe it had to have been the most free feeling that you've ever had.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Bill, you have one last question?
I have one last question. It's a little far out.
All
Recently, the most recent conspiracy theory about Scientology is in regards to Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith opening a school that had a lot of Scientology-related rhetoric, it was reported, and its connection to the slap occurred between Chris Rock and Will Smith slapping him. Some people thought that it was a Scientology-related act. Is there any basis to that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, perfect. That's all I have to hear.
It was just a lunacy-related act.
Billy spends a lot of his time on TikTok, and we apologize for him.
I had to ask. We need to ask an expert.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
Of course. Pleasure.
Again, it's A Billion Years, My Escape from a Life in the Highest Ranks of Scientology. Mike Rinder. Fantastic book. Billy loved it.
It's a great book. Honestly.
Great conversation. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Mike Rinder was brought to you by our great friends over at Ridge Wallet. Ridge Wallet is an ultra slim minimalist wallet. It holds up to 12 cards. Plus, it's got room for cash in there. There's over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. It's made with RFID blocking technology. It protects you from digital pickpocketers. I have a Ridge Wallet. Ridge Wallet has actually changed my life. Because I used to carry around, see this phone right here? I used to carry around this phone and I'd have probably, 9 or 10 cards that I would put in the back of it. I'd say 6 of those cards I don't need. I've got my card that I use to get into the office. I've got my day-to-day debit card. I've got my ID. Those are really the ones that I use day-to-day. The other ones were just taking up space in my phone wallet. I put them in the Ridge Wallet, which I now carry around, and the Ridge Wallet protects all the things that I have in there. It's very easy. It's a very sleek design. I love it. And they've got that RFID blocking technology just in case we get somebody walking by with a scanner trying to steal my bank account information.
Probably a Scientologist.
I've got RFID blocking technology in your face. Check out their site right now for Ridge Wallet. You can use the promo code MACRO, get 10% off your order. Promo code MACRO, 10% off your order when you go to Ridge Wallet. Check them out right now. All right, that will about wrap it up for today's macrodosing.
I wish I asked him if what Scientologists thought of Mormons, because how would they justify Mormonism, who also believe in different aliens, if they're just like unenlightened Scientologists who just believe in an ancient because the Mormons also believe in planets and space, and that's just fascinating.
What if they're right though?
Yeah, what
if Scientology is right?
Think about your alien ghosts in you.
Yeah.
They're just totally whacked out. They're just like they went to that seminar in the sky and got so propagandized.
Yeah. Damn. I think he's right. I think Scientology's right. He inadvertently turned me into a Scientologist. What if that's his whole mission, by the way? What if him and Leah Remini?
That'd be brilliant.
It'd be
It's
so
like a
smart
reverse.
to be like, I got out of there because they were, it's not because what they were teaching was wrong. It's just I didn't like David. So, but what they were saying, like the aliens and the volcanoes and shit, the H-bomb, that actually happened.
He did lay out at one point, like, hey, I mean, it's not like you get nothing out of Scientology. I mean, if you didn't get anything, nobody would do it. You can do this, and this.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. That on the topic of communication, when he was talking about celebrities, like he is an Emmy winner, and he wrote an amazing book that I read. He is very like his skill of communication is very good.
Can we send him a plaque for the amazing book that I read award from Billy Football?
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing book that I read.
It's fantastic. Great advice. Billy, can you send him a plaque?
Yeah, I'll get that.
Or can you write him a thank you note?
I'll write him a thank you note.
Bring back the handwritten thank you notes. I really like those. It's a nice touch.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's something that we're missing in America right now. It's like a nice cursive note. Can you write cursive?
Yeah.
I want you to write me in cursive right now. PFT, thank you for having me on this podcast. Love Billy Football.
All right.
I want to see if Billy can actually write. Can you write in cursive? Big T?
Yeah, probably. I haven't in so long I wouldn't even.
Avery can't. They don't teach the kids cursive anymore.
Well, I can't write PFT in cursive.
Yeah, I was
Why
just
not?
thinking. That's what I was actually just
Yeah.
thinking. How do you do like 3 capital?
You can't.
You do a period.
Yeah.
There's different P's. You do cursive P, then a period, cursive F, period.
I feel like I know all the lowercase letters, but not uppercase.
You know, this is sad. What a
Because
sad day
because
for
there's
America.
no such thing as uppercase cursive. You start it with an uppercase letter, then you go into cursive.
What are you taught, Billy?
Yeah.
No, you're
That's how I learned cursive.
no, you're.
I think there are
incredibly
subtle
incorrect.
differences.
No,
in
Billy.
some of the letters.
Billy is objectively wrong about this. There are uppercase cursive letters. You guys don't know. You
what are you
guys don't
talking
know
about?
anything about cursive.
I do.
Let's see. Billy wrote this all in lowercase, except for the PFT. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Wait.
That was pretty good cursive.
I have bad handwriting. Anyway.
No, I know, I get it, but you need to learn how to do the uppercase. Here,
Cursive.
I'm gonna do the uppercase P, uppercase F. Here's the F. The F is a fucking tricky one.
Oh, what? Okay.
What? What? Are you gonna tell me that there's not? You're gonna tell me that there's
Let me
not?
see how you wrote the F.
Okay, the
It's
pen is running out of ink here.
so there's two.
So
you don't
it doesn't
have.
look good. I'm gonna do it again.
So that's like Disney writing.
That's cursive.
No, Disney. Yeah, no. There's 2 types of cursive.
What?
Cursive is uppercase. There are uppercase letters in the cursive alphabet. I promise you.
Different types of cursive.
Yeah, there's uppercase letters.
There's ligature.
Billy, I promise
There's
you.
looped cursive.
I promise you there's uppercase cursive letters. There you go, Big T. That's how you do the F.
Okay.
The F is maybe the hardest one.
The lowercase F it looks like a balloon animal. It's like
Yeah, it does. It looks like you've tied off like a bunny rabbit's ears or something like that.
I hate cursive.
Yeah, cursive is stupid. It should never have been taught, but now I feel old because nobody knows it anymore.
I know how to.
PFT.
I could write in it if I had to. but-
Listen-
Okay, yeah, but the cursive.
Listening to
F-
Billy try to say that there's no such thing as uppercase letters in cursive is maddening to me because
Yeah, but
you're
look,
just wrong.
You just did just fancy letters.
I mean, that's what it is.
That's what the letters are in cursive.
Right, but the whole point of cursive is to be faster writing.
And it's also to look nice. I'm telling you,
I don't know. Yeah, I
Billy-
don't know that that's necessarily true. It takes way longer.
for some people, if you learn it, it can be faster because you don't pick the
Because you don't
pencil
pick
up.
the pencil up.
But
Waste
Billy,
ink.
you're objectively wrong. There are 1,000,000% uppercase
I
letters in
think
cursive.
there's 2 types of
Dude,
cursive.
Billy, I learned cursive in elementary. Every child was taught cursive.
I don't even think they teach it anymore.
They don't. They should. I had one teacher. She stank back in high school. She had. She made everybody write all their essays handwritten in cursive.
That's
I actually had.
I would Karen to the administration
I had
about
that in a
that.
couple classes. If Yeah, thank God I grew up in a time when there was typing, because my handwriting is so bad they probably would have sent me to like I don't know.
They'll give this kid some help. All right, we will catch you guys next week on Macrodosing. Very excited. Mad Dog, do you know cursive?
Yes. Also, I didn't know we were back in here.
Nice of you to join us as we are concluding.
No one told me that we were back in here.
I'm sorry that no one
Did you
told you
check
that.
your cell phone?
Yeah, you said in a minute. No one said we're back in here though.
Sorry to hear that.
Yes, I do know cursive.
Yeah, Billy just tried to tell us that there was no such thing as uppercase letters in cursive.
That's dumb.
Yep. All right, we will see you guys next week on Nanodosing, coming out Tuesday. Love you guys. Go Tennessee.
Oh yeah,
Go Vols.
Let's go Vols.
I'm repping a sick Roback checkered.
I'm bringing
Vols
in a cigar for Big T tomorrow. It's gonna be a nice cigar.
Okay.
I want you to.
I was
smoke
actually
it.
looking into purchasing one today. So.
I want to get you this cigar. It'll be a
Okay.
good one.
Okay.
Trust me, you're gonna like this shigar.
Okay.
And then also go JMU top 25.
Just a couple ranked ball clubs.
Billy, what's your school ranked?
My school was one of the last undefeated football teams in the country last year.
Oh wow, last year. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm talking about now. I'm talking about here and now. Don't live in the past, Billy.
Yeah, but last year we could have competed in the college playoff. They didn't pick us.
And they're still trying to keep the Dukes out of a bowl game. It's
They
a
are.
crying shame.
They are. But again, if they go undefeated, I'm declaring a national championship.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm buying the team rings and a pizza party.
If they win one of the toughest divisions in college football,
I'd say that the Sun Belt East is more difficult than the ACC. Which one is
Coastal? Coastal does not have Clemson.
I mixed that up. The Clemson division's not bad this year.
Atlantic, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, so the Coastal.
The Coastal's like Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
Duke,
Sun Belt East is better
North Carolina.
than the ACC Coastal. It's better than the Big Ten West.
Yeah. Oh, exponentially better than the Big Ten West.
Exponentially, it's better than probably both divisions of
the Pac-12's pretty good this year.
Are they?
Yeah. It's a deep.
Okay, so we are
there are legitimately probably two Power 5 divisions that are not as good as the Sun Belt East.
Yep. So we should be in the Power 5. I'm counting us as a Power 5 conference this year. And it's bullshit that they're not letting the kids play in the postseason, so I will be declaring that. But I will buy a cigar as well. So we can celebrate together on Saturday.
Looking forward to it.
See ya. Love you guys.